welcome to episode 47 of the Talk Nintendo podcast. I am one of your hosts, Casey Gibson, and joining me tonight, as always, the one, the only, Perry Burkham.
Casey, there's this new dance that's sweeping the nation. Have you caught it?
Is it a wiggle of some sort?
Chicken wiggle, baby. Do the chicken wiggle.
Chicken wiggle. Chicken wiggle. That's right.
Yes, and joining us again for the second time, way back on episode 6, you might remember, Jools Watsham.
Hey guys, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you, sir?
I am very good, thank you very much.
We're honored to have you here again tonight.
Well, thank you. No, I had a really good time last time, so thank you for allowing me back. I was allowed back.
Yeah, it's a celebration almost of Chicken Wiggle. It's coming out this week.
Woo! Yeah, man.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, crazy excited. Yeah, it's always a weird week when a game comes out. You know, it's both exciting and terrifying, all rolled up into one.
It has to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's sort of that mix of like, oh, is this going to be, received well? And I mean, spoiler alert, I think it will be. This
all
this
of
game
the emotions. Yeah, will people like it? Will people buy it? Will it be, exposed the way I want it to be? Will the big websites, kind of promote it, or will they just let it forget about it? I mean, it's all these tiny and big things like come into play, and you can't help but overanalyze everything. And yeah, it's a fun time though. I really can't complain about it. It's an amazing thing to be a part of. You just hope for the best, really.
Well, and it's on the 3DS.
Yeah.
Which now we're in the Switch heyday. I mean, just insane.
Totally.
So.
Yeah. No. Exactly.
But then, I mean, I can't imagine how pumped you were when they announced Metroid for 3DS. I mean, that has to.
Yeah. No.
Make
definitely.
You feel good. It makes me feel good.
Oh, I'm very excited about that game. That looks ridiculous, and that team is great. I mean, I think that's actually a perfect kind of scenario there, because obviously they're very talented people. I mean, Castlevania was technically, artistically, everything was. I mean, the gameplay had some issues, but it wasn't a bad game. It's a good game, but technically and artistically, very, very impressive. So,
for sure,
perfect mix to have them be guided by the Nintendo hand with their talent. I think it's going to be kind of amazing, that game. I'm actually constantly going to Amazon to see if the special edition is available, because it's freaking not available still. I don't understand. It's just not. I don't know what Amazon's doing, man, but it's it's available in the UK. It's available at GameStop. Blah blah blah. I want to use my Prime account, man. I want to just go one click buy, boom.
Yeah.
But I can't do it yet. But I have pre-ordered the regular one as a backup.
Yeah, I think I was lucky enough to get it from Best Buy, but yeah, I have Amazon Prime, so it's like I'm waiting for that Amazon 20% off.
Yeah. I did get something through Target. What was it now? When I couldn't get it through.
Was it the squishy
Amazon. Amiibo? Which amiibo?
The squishy Metroid?
Oh, no. It wasn't Metroid related. It was a different product. Oh, it was probably my 2DS. Yeah, it was my 2DS, my new 2DS XL. I was wanting to get that through the Amazon, but they didn't have it until like the day of or whatever. So, and like, wasn't going to risk that. So I got that through Target. And that actually was pretty good. That came on time in a nice box. So I was like, all right, maybe Target's a good backup.
Yeah.
How do you like that bad boy, speaking of?
Man, it's beautiful. It's really, really slick. I mean, I'm a collector, so I'm not really going to use it that much, but I needed to get it just to kind of see how it felt, what it was like, and it's really, really nice. The materials are really good. I love the way it feels. The weight, it's quite light. It's quite nice. The design is very impressive. Just there's less kind of space around the edge of the screen in some areas and stuff. It's very sleek.
Right.
Very nicely done.
It doesn't waste a lot of space.
Yeah, it's all screen. It's exactly. There's no messing around.
Like the original 3DS.
Yeah.
I remember on the original, it's like, man, why are the screens so small? Like,
there's so much real estate here, and it's not being utilized properly.
Yeah.
No, it's a beautiful machine. I like it has kind of a ridged top surface that has like diagonal lines, and you can feel it. There's the raised bumps with a nice little embossed Nintendo logo in the corner. It's really slick.
Sweet.
Yeah, no, I like it a lot. The 2DS is really, really sweet. But
that would be a purchase I would totally get. Normally, I just moved into an apartment, so I'm trying to be good
Yeah,
But,
it's kind of a
it's
luxury item for sure.
Yeah, it's well, like you, I'm a
Yeah.
collector, so it's like I've got a
Yeah.
version of every 3DS. I don't have a 2DS at all, but I have, the
Okay.
regular, the XL, the news.
Okay.
So it's like,
My favorite is definitely the small new 3DS. That is perfection. I have
Yep,
the
that's
felt,
what I'm rocking.
faceplates. I have the white design with the light grey fuzzy faceplate. Love it.
Yeah,
It's perfect.
Jools, I got that. I have one, and I was about to do a system transfer from my my new 3DS XL, and I literally stopped when I found that stylus, and it's so tiny.
It is.
and awful.
It's pitiful. The stylus is
And,
pitiful. Yeah.
And that's
a fact.
literally
Yeah.
why. Like, I was on the fence, right?
Yeah.
Right. I was on the fence, and I didn't do it. I was like, okay, I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah,
So
no.
I stopped the system transfer.
Yeah.
I've bounced back and forth a few times.
Yeah.
I just love that I can put it in my pocket, and
Oh,
I
for
love
sure.
the felt of the material. I don't know. I think the tactile nature of a device is important. And yeah, no, I love it. But I have a regular 2DS as well, the original Wedge that they released. That's that's interesting. That's a neat little machine. It has a big old juicy LNR buttons, really big paddles on
and
the outside.
The D-pad placement is so nice.
Yeah,
it's
I've
a
heard
nice
that's
machine.
arguably one of the more comfortable ones too, because it really gives you a
sure.
lot of room for your hands.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice. So yeah, it's fascinating what Nintendo have done with the 3DS era. Can't complain. It's definitely delivered some fun experiences. It's just really sad that it's towards the end, I mean, I would imagine the 2DS XL is the last hardware
That's what
iteration,
Nintendo
I guess.
wants you to think. They're
Right.
rolling that thing out to the end of 2018.
That'd be cool.
It'll never
complain about
die.
It's
that.
micro. Gotta make the micro.
Good point. That would be nice.
That would be pretty sweet.
But yes, no, it is a fun time to release a game in kind of like the era is coming to an end. Shortly, it must be, because everyone seems to be jumping over to the Switch, which for good reason, and that's great and exciting.
And you're kind of in it from the beginning of the era, and you kind of, with Mutant Muds.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that being one of the big first eShop games. I just remember the coverage of that, and how, I feel like maybe it wasn't, but I feel like it was advertised before the eShop, or I mean, I feel like I knew about the development before the eShop was even out.
Yeah, no,
like.
it was actually. We went to E3 in 2011 to propose it to, well, just not really propose it, just to put it on Nintendo's radar, and that's actually when I met with Dan Edelman for the first time, and I was very worried. That was my first proper kind of meeting with Nintendo in person. As you can imagine, was like, you don't want to upset them. Yeah. That was great because they're amazing people there. So it actually went really, really well. And I was like, wow, these people are really nice. That's awesome. That's what you want it to be. Anyway, but the eShop didn't come out until, I think it was at the end of that year, at the end of 2011. And then, yes, it was the latter part. I'm not sure exactly what the day is, but it was the latter part of 2011. And then Mods came out in January 2012. So it was right at the beginning, along with Pushmo and Mighty Switch Force and stuff like that. It was a golden time. It was really a beautiful
early
thing,
batch.
Yeah, it was really, really neat. And I remember it being priced at $8.99. It was the most expensive game on the eShop at that time, and I was really worried. How ridiculous is that now in hindsight? It's like so funny.
I know.
Yeah,
isn't
it's
that
weird.
crazy?
You know what the perception?
It is, because people were actually mentioning the price in the review. That's how crazy expensive $8.99 was at that time.
I think I remember that.
So
I know.
weird.
It's just a different. I don't know. That is weird. Maybe because the retro look. I don't know. People are associating with Virtual Console or something. I don't know.
I think just the perception of a downloadable game now is way different.
Yeah,
back
it
then,
is. It's so different.
I think even major websites were giving out awards for that's the downloadable game of the year. And now they're just games. It doesn't matter really if it's a smaller studio coming up with it or a AAA experience.
Like Nintendo Power wouldn't even list eShop games, like they'd list at the back of the magazine all of the past review scores that they've given games. They wouldn't even include eShops in there. That's how delegitimized they were. They wouldn't even include them in that list. Only retail games are in there. And I'm like, that makes no sense. That is such a bizarre slap in the face. Thanks, guys.
But didn't they have? I seriously feel like I remember seeing. Didn't they cover Mutant Mudds before it was?
Yeah, I met with I can't remember his name now, but I met with someone at E3 2011, and they put it in. They were the first to kind of print the preview of Mutant Mudds, which was an amazing opportunity. Go. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. Okay, that is really cool.
Yeah, it was great. Anyway, chicken wiggle.
We'll be talking Mutant Mudds later. What we want to talk about what you've been playing, Jules.
Splatoon 2, baby.
Louie.
Oh, yeah.
Being killed by you a lot, I think, online.
He's stalking you.
And cooperatively.
Yes, that's true. No, there have been a good side-by-side action as well, which has been good. It was super fun.
I always felt bad. I was like,
You were good, man. You were very good.
I'm not that... Oh, you haven't played with Casey.
Oh, really? Yeah, because you haven't been in there, have you, with the Nintendo Guru stuff?
Casey hasn't... He's been moving and doing new apartment and stuff. And, like, also, I can play at work, like, on break. So
nice.
It's really nice. So
it's been a hectic couple of weeks, compounded by working that expo, which I'm going to get into in a little bit. But yeah, it's just been like, it's been terrible, really. It's like I just want to play Splatoon and Chicken Wiggle and just, I need more time in the day.
And that's what I've been doing
Splatoon 2 has definitely been taking up my time. It's funny because I really enjoyed the game on the Wii U, but I wasn't that console didn't fit my lifestyle in the same positive way that the Switch does. So the Switch I can have right next to me while I work, and I can jump onto it at any time, whereas with the Wii U I couldn't because of the range of the base to the blah 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 and the rest
and
of it.
It's not, and you can't play off TV on the Wii U.
That's a good point. Yes, very good point. Yeah, it just fits my lifestyle, and it's a fantastic game, and they've made the improvements, so Splatoon 2 has definitely been taking up the majority, I think, of my time right now. The online matchmaking is pretty good. It's fast, it's a solid game, and it's funny to go off on a slight tangent, sorry. It was funny, the whole ketchup versus mayo thing was wonderful. I kind of saw the build-up online. I didn't really understand or really care about it, honestly. I saw that it was happening, and I assumed it was something to do with Splatoon, and I'm like, oh, that's really clever, that's funny, I don't really care, but that's cool. I'm going to play the game anyway. And it came to that weekend, and I didn't realize it was actually happening that weekend. It was Saturday, I guess, or Friday night, or whatever. I wanted to jump into a regular game. And it goes, nope, you need to choose mayo or ketchup. And I'm like, oh, wow, it's forcing me. I had no idea. So I chose a side, jumped in.
Which one did you choose?
I was mayo.
All right.
Just because a few of my friends I saw online were choosing it, and that was the only reason. I saw a few people that I knew were choosing it. I'm like, okay, I guess I'll choose the same as them. I'll be a sheep, whatever, I don't care.
There you go. Just like Casey did.
And we ended up winning, I guess. And I'm like, oh, wow, and then, oh my gosh, people online were so salty about it. It was amazing. And so I kind of added some salt to that wound as well, and kind of just rubbed it in a little bit, which was super fun. It was from a community marketing standpoint, that was a really fun event to be a part of. That was really cool.
And I think you mentioned, you sent out a tweet about how great, you were saying the marketing, like how you have people marketing their game for them on social media like crazy, and it's such a great idea, and it's something that it's like, oh my goodness, I've been tricked. I've been tricked into their marketing, but it's like, no, I haven't, because it's really fun and it's a great idea,
Super fun.
The screenshots, the hashtags, everything, it's so easy to, like, that's what I really like about the Switch so much, is just how fast everything is, because thinking back to the Wii U, like, I love the Miiverse, the idea of the Miiverse, but it was just, like, so annoying to load it up, jump, you know what I mean? With the Switch, even just take a screenshot, I could post it to Twitter in, like, 10 seconds, and I can get back right into the game.
Lightning fast, super fun. And I loved that when you went into the what do you call it? The street, what in
Inkopolis or whatever they
call
call
it.
it.
Yeah, Inkopolis, exactly. And there's a rave going on. There's a party. There's like lights. They're up there. They're doing their rap thing, and I'm zooming in, checking them out. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is actually an event. I thought that was amazing. That was so fun to be a part of. I was like, well done. This is exactly the way it should be.
They've created an event. Yes.
Yeah. Very,
and it
very
takes
fun to be a part of.
the least interesting game mode and makes it a lot of fun for a day.
Yeah, I love that game mode. That's the only game mode I play. So.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Oh, you're a turf war man?
Oh, totally. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. Well, have you played the others, Jools?
I played a single player game where things come out of the sea and you have to kill them.
Salmon Run?
Oh, the Salmon Run?
Is it Salmon Run? I guess it is. I can't even remember. I played it briefly and I'm like, that was fun. But that's not why I play Splatoon. So I'm like, I'll wait until Mario Odyssey comes out to play that kind of game. You know, I was like,
gotcha.
You know what you need to do? You need to go in there with a group of friends and especially on Skype, and it's because then you get a lot of teamwork and you get those
all right, we need to set that up.
Yes.
So I need to join you guys on that, and we need to do that.
All right, cancel the podcast. Well. Let's go, boys.
Let's
go. Let's end this.
If they let us play.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's the one thing, and that's the only thing. See, the cool thing, Jools, is you can be very positive about the game because if you only play turf war, then everything's golden for you all the time. You can match up with your friends whenever you want, and it's always there and playable, except for But then if any other mode, Salmon Run's not available all the time, and that literally, I mean, it's been at least 4 or 5 nights with me and Casey or other, where it's just ruined what we've wanted to do, and we have to end up, and we have 3 people, and we can't, in the original Splatoon, you can have 3 people and team up and go against people online, and you can't do that anymore on the league mode.
Okay.
They took that out, so it's only 2. So we end up having to do now in Salmon Run. You can team up with 3, and then they add a 4th person. Like it's the most obvious thing in the world. But you cannot do that on League mode because you can't play League mode single player, so they can't add a single player in there. It's just a mess, a convoluted mess. But But
that's hidden.
The gameplay.
I was going to say that's hidden between or behind 5 to 6 hours of grinding up to a certain level to even be able to play.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
But
it's just So they've had interesting decisions, but obviously it's still one of my favorite games of all time. Seriously.
Yeah, it's so clever. Because there'll be sometimes when you I mean, for me anyway, sometimes where I'm in the mood for going out there, and attacking people, and taking them out, and then sometimes you're in your mood for, I'm just gonna ink the ground and not worry so much about the other players, or sometimes you do a little bit of both. So it really it suits a lot of modes, whereas the traditional online multiplayer deathmatch or whatever is just kill everyone, whereas this has more depth to that. Ironically, for such a simple, cute, fun game, it has more depth when it suits more moods, which is fascinating.
Yeah, and I think one of the big parts also with the depth is the skirmishes you have with people, where if you run into someone and suddenly it's almost like, okay, now it's one-on-one, you're hiding in the ink, you're jumping, you're trying to figure out, am I going to run away, am I going to shoot them? Those little one-on-one things
very tense.
Are awesome.
Try and bait them out.
Great. Mm-hmm.
And I... Oh, go ahead, Casey.
Well, I was just going to say, and Perry always has to remind me when we're playing, just stay alive, because, it's so, of course you want to go get that kill, but if you get killed, man, that really hurts the team so bad. Like you said,
you can't jump to them,
or you can't ink, or you can't do anything.
Yeah,
it's so much more important to ink than it is necessarily to get those kills. But God, it's so.
I've learned that as well. A lot of times, I'll squid away from an encounter if I'm not if I'm not full ammo, I know I'm not going to win. I'll just slither away and then kind of.
That's the
amazing thing
is
you can find a different angle to attack them from, or at least you can just spray some more stuff somewhere else. It's way more effective. So I'm slowly learning those strategies because I didn't really have much time with it on the Wii U version. So for me, this is kind of like the beginning in a way for me. And I always suck. Sure. I'm always the lowest points in my team, but I'm like, whatever, I'm trying.
Hey, as long as you're having fun, who cares about those other jabronis?
Yeah, totally. Super fun. Yeah. Such a good game.
I swear that I heard and this I don't know if it was Miyamoto or some higher up at Nintendo. I thought it was Miyamoto, but they were working on this game, and they didn't have the idea of swimming in the ink. They were just working with the idea of turf war, of
like a paintball game.
And then Miyamoto came in and said, "Hey, they should be able to swim in the ink," and like so they were literally making this game without that idea. And I know I heard that somewhere from
that totally
someone.
Opens it up, yeah. I mean, that's
but it's just like that's the big
component.
part. That's the best.
Oh,
yeah.
I was gonna say, could you imagine
and fun? And, yeah.
Coming into the office the next day and they're like, "Look at what we added." It's like, oh my god, this changes everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because it's built into the reloading of the ammo. Obviously, I mean, they really integrated it perfectly. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, very good, very good. But we should move on. I know you got a little goodie for your Switch, Jools.
What goodie? Sorry, I'm not on the same plane as you right now. What goodie do I have? Oh yes, my arcade cabinet.
There
Is that what you're talking about? Yes, now I'm on the same page. I'm like, what goodie? What am I missing? What am I missing?
What did I do?
I tweeted out a couple of weeks ago. I tweeted out asking people because I was using the built-in flip stand or whatever you call it on the back of the Switch to play, and that's not great. That wasn't really working.
Yeah,
for me.
no,
so I'm
that's
like,
not.
all right, I need to find a better solution for this. Yeah, it's not great. So. So anyway, I tweeted out, didn't want to have good recommendations for a stand, and people were suggesting the Kid Icarus one, which I tried, but it's not the right angle for me. It's kind of more laid back, so that didn't really work very well. And then also just the official stand, the official Switch stand, which I got, and it's good. It's a good angle. It's solid. I do like it. It's a nice stand. So I did use that for a little bit. But then someone else said, "Hey, check out my arcade cabinet," and I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And they sent me a photo. God, I wish I knew who it was now. I need to look at my Twitter history. I'm not prepared at all for this. Anyway, they sent a photo of there was a mini arcade cabinet and with a Switch in it. I'm like, what the heck is that? And it's like, it looks like a legit coin op with an and I'm like, what? So I looked on Amazon. It's $15. I'm like, all right, I'll order that. And it got here and it's basically thin pieces of wood cut out with the laminated kind of black, I don't know, paint or laminate or whatever on the outside. So it was really kind of light and flimsy when I first got it, and obviously it's in separate pieces and you have to put it together, and I'm like, oh, I don't know how good this is going to be. But when you put it together and then and it has rubber bands that you put on the pieces of wood that kind of like jut out through the slots. So when you put it all together and put the rubber bands on it, which sounds odd, but when you put it all together, it's really solid. It really fits together well, and then you can just slide your Switch screen from the top into it, and it sits like a perfect arcade machine. You're like, oh my gosh.
Vertical or horizontal?
Horizontal.
Okay, gotcha.
And you can plug in the power from beneath if you need to, if you need that. It works really, really well. It's amazing. So I have it in there right now. I mean, that's what I use all the time now. It's awesome. And it's perfect.
That's sweet.
Yeah, it's incredible. So now I'm going to make some custom stickers and try and make it look all awesome and stuff. But yeah, it's
pretty it
incredible.
up a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
I know. I feel like that there's such a cool idea that some game company can do, right? Can release a limited edition, something like this, right? Like for an arcade collection, or like
for
like
Namco Museum. Yep, that's what I was thinking.
Wouldn't that have been perfect?
Yeah, I mean, and it's such a cheap
edition
thing. I mean, it's $15,
right.
So it's like, wow, if you just add a license to that and maybe bump it up to $20, people would totally buy it. It's like if it has built-in decals for the game of your choice, whatever that might be. Oh my gosh, amazing, Or better yet, ones that you could stick onto an existing one. But yeah, really, really nice. I recommend it to anyone. Anyway, that's what I use, because then I can have my Joy-Cons, plugged into my charge grip, and have this thing just sitting in the arcade machine. Yeah, that's perfect. It's just sitting there like my own little coin op sitting on my desk. It's crazy. Absolutely amazing.
Isn't that cool?
It's like I didn't even know this existed in my life, and now I don't know how I live without it.
And here it is, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
You got to play some Neo Geo games on that.
Yeah. Telesonic in there is really neat. And,
that's
I'm
awesome.
sure we'll get to this later, but a certain muddy game in there looks quite nice too.
Well, sort of to go along the lines of the arcade, I actually just picked up that play stand, which I think is what you were talking about before. I think it's
the Hori.
Yeah, the Hori, but I think it's
yeah.
like officially licensed by Nintendo.
Yeah.
And
I have it as well.
yeah,
It's
I just
nice.
picked it up today because I saw Don Koopman. He like posted a picture of it with the Switch vertical and like was playing Pac-Man and Dig Dug and stuff. So I was like, oh man, I need to do
That's
that.
true. Yeah, it's perfect for that too.
So I've got the stand, and now I'm sort of fighting the urge. Like, hold off, you've got other games to play right now. Don't pick up Namco Museum just yet. But there's like a 60% chance after this recording. We'll see if it goes up or down, but like it's at 60% that's going to be picked up tonight.
I like that honest percentage.
Yeah, because it's like it's like I know I'm not completely sold yet, but it's definitely in favor of, you know. Oh, like play some Dig Dug. That'd be great. Vertical.
Pac-Man versus.
Because I tried some of my
rising up to 70% as you
speak. Yeah, the meter. It's like, that's it, boys. I've already got it pre-purchased.
Yes.
Yeah, I tried to play some Neo Geo games to like you can change it to be vertically displayed, but it doesn't take up the whole screen. It's just like only a little bit, so it doesn't really make sense, you know. But then that's why I was like, well, there was that extra 10% from the 50 for Namco.
Yeah.
I blame Neo Geo, dang it.
Yes. Now, before we move on, Jools, did you want to talk a little about Sonic Mania?
I did get that, I guess, was that today, right? Yeah, I got that today. Man, it's impressive. I mean, I've only played a little bit, but what I've played so far, man, it is super slick. I mean, just everything about it. The animation, there's a few extra frames in there, and it's a little bit smoother. All of the audio is like super. I don't know. It's interesting. Like I was kind of saying this before, I guess, but it's kind of like they've took the original Genesis sound effects, like the source of what made the Genesis sound effects, and then made them beefy and stereo and awesome for the Switch. Like it's like the Switch doing what it can do with that game rather than trying to emulate a Genesis, you know? Yeah, it's like remastered. It sounds so amazing. Cool. I mean, because I actually put my headphones on while I was playing it for the first time, because I know the music is amazing on that first trailer they released. So I wanted to kind of experience that. But yeah, the coin sound effects, all the classic sounds that you recognize from that game is been done in such a nice, smooth execution that isn't that gross, weird modern interpretation of someone who didn't understand the original. It's like, wow, this is the way they were trying to make it sound back then, but were unable to do so because of just what the machine was capable of doing. Man, it sounds beautiful. Yeah, and just
it sounds like what everyone has always wanted, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's
pretty
like
much
what every Sonic fan that's out there, besides the ones that really like the newer 3D Sonic
right.
things. They are
the true
Sonic
fans.
But the people who love Sonic 1, this is what they want. Is this new game? Yeah. And it's cool. Like they actually have different video options where you can have. By default, it's called clean, I think, where there's a slight filtering on the pixels, which I don't understand, but it doesn't look bad. And then there's just none, which I chose. But there's also the CTR kind of effects, and there's two levels of that. One semi-CTR scan lines and one that's super scan line. So that's pretty neat as well. So you can select those different options for that kind of different style that you want to see. So they've really gone for it. It's really neat.
What's your sort of history with Sonic? Are you a big fan, or is it sort of more curiosity that got you to jump back in?
I always liked Sonic. Like I'm definitely more of a Nintendo person, generally speaking, and always kind of have been, just because their game design philosophy is so solid, and it has been so consistent over the decades. They really know what they're doing. With game design, they start with game design first, and then the building blocks rise up from there. Whereas Sega was different, where it was more like, hey, art is just as important, audio is just as important as gameplay. Marketing is just as important, and I respect that. That's fine. But their game design isn't necessarily their strongest suit. It's not bad, but they fire on all cylinders, as much as possible. And sometimes they hit, and sometimes they miss. But the first Sonic is level 1 of the first Sonic is incredible, hands down. The music, the artwork, the whole experience of the first level of the first Sonic game is ridiculous. It's unique, it's amazing. It actually gives me shivers even thinking about it. It's really amazing. And I really actually got to re-experience that when they did the 3D version on the 3DS, the 3D Classics, what do you call it? Mm-hmm. When the M2 guys did the reimagining of the original Sonic, but in 3D, stereoscopic 3D, not 3D polygons, stereoscopic 3D on the 3DS. So that was really fun to kind of go back and re-experience it again on that, and it was like, oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. It's such an amazing artistry and everything about it. A lot of people will say Sonic 2 is better, Sonic 3 is better, blah, whatever. I don't think they ever captured that feeling of Stage 1 on Sonic 1. Like that music, the visuals, his attitude, everything about that was magic. It was like, wow, how did they do that? But then no other part of the game ever recaptures what they captured there. And then no other game has ever captured that either. I'm not saying Sonic Mania does or does not. I'm not there yet. But that first Sonic experience is just unique and amazing. And Sonic definitely rode that for many years, what they achieved there. So yeah, no, I have a lot of love for Sonic. I think it was amazing. I really like that we're trying to go for the whole, anti-Mario, the character with an attitude, blah. No, that was fun. Yeah, that was fun. That was cute. But,
blast processing.
But yes, all that. So yeah, no, anyway. So but no, I've always liked Sonic, and I got it when it first came out, and yeah. But like I say, Sonic 2 and all the rest of it, and all the ones more recently, I've never really liked any of them. I was really hopeful for Sonic World. Is that what it's called? The Lost World, or whatever it's called, on 3DS.
On the Wii U?
Well, I got the 3DS,
and 3DS
one, yeah. And that first level really, again, has some magic, has some potential. It's like, wow, this is exciting. But then it loses, and yeah, then it goes off the rails.
Do you like the generations or colors
or Boom?
I played some of them. Boom, not so much. But yeah, some of them are pretty good. But I don't know, none of them had that same magic than that first one for me. But like I say, I did. Is it Lost World? What's it called? I can't remember the name. But you know the one I mean.
Yep,
the one I mean.
I think
whatever
so.
It's called.
I think it's Lost World.
Yeah, that had a lot of potential, but it didn't meet it, unfortunately.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And apparently what's the new one? Unleashed on Sonic.
Oh,
who knows?
I don't know. Apparently, it's kind of fallen on this. I've heard it's fallen the same trap. So
yeah,
we'll see.
It's just.
Well, at least they've got. It seems like they got this right. Yeah, all of the impressions I've seen on Twitter and then reviews and stuff seem to be overwhelmingly positive. Like you said, to throw back to what people love about Sonic. Not trying to do anything too crazy. Not reinvent the wheel. Just give a solid Sonic experience. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think the key is just that sense of authenticity. And the first Sonic obviously had it because the team were making something incredible and they knew it, or they were certainly gunning for it from the beginning, and they achieved it. I can't. I'm sure that team was very scared but very excited and impassioned and enthused with what they were creating, and then the end result was something pretty special. And I think Sonic Mania has that same vibe where it's not contrived, it wasn't some board of directors, saying this is what we need to make to please the people kind of thing. You can tell there's some real love in there and some real polish in the right places, and it's not trying to trick you, it's just love, it's just passion, it's just good. There's just some good stuff in there, and you're like, yeah, cool. So you can't help but be like, oh, that's really neat, because you can. Yeah, it's not there as a bullet point or some marketing thing or whatever. It's just like, wow, that's really cool that someone did that. Like the smooth frames of animation when this does that, or the audio for that. You're like, wow, that's really cool. And no kind of PR marketing person would necessarily say, hey, we need to put that in the game. So and it's full of that. It's full of sprinkles of that. Even the menu, especially actually the animation, the cinematic is quite neat. I'm sure that was kind of like a marketing person saying, hey, we need a fancy animation to begin there, anime kind of style animation. I'm sure that was the one, but at least they got a good team to do it, and it's quite nice. It isn't the typical cheesy horrible Sonic animation with him talking and trying to be cool. It's just a really neat animation of fun. It's just more jovial and more kid-like. It's just more fun. It doesn't take itself seriously, and I think that's the key. It's just genuine. And I think that's where Sega's lost its way in the past, where they just try way too hard and they fail really hard. It's just best to just be like, dude, just give it to some people who you trust and let them do their thing. Right. And that's always the best way to do anything creative. Anyway, and I think Sonic Mania seems to be the result of that, which is fun.
Yeah, we're not big Sonic fans, but
yeah, admittedly we are not, but we are fine with other people that are Sonic fans.
There's a chance I might have to be picking it up, so if
well, if you don't like Sonic, then you might like this, because it is very Sonic.
You know what, the problem with Sonic is, at least, admittedly I have not put a ton of time into many Sonic games. It's just, for me, when I play games, it's like I like to check every nook and cranny, I want to check everything, and then I feel like with Sonic it's like, well, no, you need to go fast and zip through this level, and then when you try and slow down, it doesn't feel very good, and it's like, well, that's because you're not supposed to, and it's like, that's how I play.
Agree with you, and that is the problem with Sonic, and it's the problem with Sonic 1. It's the problem with Sonic Mania. That is the problem with Sonic. Exactly what you just said. It's designed to go fast, but the game won't let you. Exactly, and it's the same problem is there. So, yeah, this doesn't solve that problem. Right. It's still there. Yeah.
Well, I know that there's that Wii U game that's like an ode to Sonic, right? Yeah,
Freedom Planet.
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't play it much.
Bundle.
Yeah.
I didn't play much either, because exactly what you just said, where I played through it and it's like, well, I'm just playing right through this level, and this is just, it's easy and fast, and it's just not satisfying. It's like, I feel like I'm missing everything, and I'm just going through the level, and I'm like, what's the point, And if the point is to stop and check everything out, then it doesn't work well that way.
It is an oxymoron. I mean, Sonic really is an oxymoron. It's a tough one, and that's where Mario and games like that do so well, where it's a good pace, it's perfect controls. You want to go off and venture because there's no negative to do that, whereas in Sonic there kind of is a negative to do that, because you want to go fast, and slopes don't allow you to walk back up them as fast as you went down them, and there's a lot of things that psychologically and actually work against you in wanting to explore in Sonic, and but it is what it is.
Right. Well, when you are going and you're going on the loop-de-loop and you hit all those rings and you're jumping, and it feels really good, right?
It does.
It's a bunch of highs and too, so.
Yeah, it's a tough one, definitely.
Well, here's one good thing. This is definitely the longest we will probably ever talk about Sonic on this podcast.
Funny.
Well, I haven't told you about the Sonic episode we have planned down the road, so.
The Sonic Boom episode. Yeah.
We're gonna play every single Sonic game and then just rank them.
Right. Oh my gosh.
And then I'm gonna kill myself.
Right.
No, just kidding. But Casey, you went to this really cool thing on the old Long Island.
Yes. So actually, it happened last year. The Long Island Retro Gaming Expo was looking for volunteers, and this was before we had the podcast or anything, or affiliated with the site, and I was just sort of looking. I was looking for people who liked playing games, there weren't a lot of people, my friends who were really into games or anything, so I was sort of by myself in that sense, of course I go online and read stuff, but and listen to podcasts, but I didn't actually have, an outlet of actually talking to people about it, or at least people who actually really cared. So I applied, and I didn't hear back for a while, and I was like, all right, whatever. And then a couple months later, they got back to me, and I ended up going and sort of, running the panel room, introducing the panelists, and just sort of making sure everything went, on time, and that, they were all, sort of welcomed, and, fresh water bottles, the whole bit. So this year...
He was their butler.
Yes, I was the whipping boy. So this year again, they're doing it, and it was actually much bigger this year. We got a new venue, and it was a 2-day expo instead of just a single day expo. So, the scope was much bigger, and I was actually, promoted to a captain slot, which was pretty cool. So I was actually sort of in charge of that theater, and we got like last year we had I don't know if you guys know like the Cheap Ass Gamer, the CAG cast.
Yeah.
They came last year, so that they were like the big guys coming, which was pretty cool, So this year they came back, but they also got a couple other pretty big big time people. Yeah, like for instance, I don't know if either of you guys have heard of the 8-Bit guy. He is a YouTuber. I personally hadn't heard of him beforehand. But, I think he's got like 500,000 subscribers on YouTube, and he gets like really in depth on like old computers and old technology and sort of how it works and stuff. So he actually kicked it open for the panels, which was pretty cool, And then, we also had, like I said, the CAGS cast was there, Retronauts was there, which is, I think everyone, even if you don't listen to Retronauts, you sort of have an idea of who they are. And so that was, that was pretty wild to meet those guys. And, a couple other throughout the weekend. And it was just pretty cool because, I mean, like I said, now that we do the podcast, it's sort of like seeing them, like, sort of knowing more about it and, like, setting up the audio. And, like, it was at the Cradle of Aviation Museum. So it was like this big open area with, like, fighter jet and all sorts of aviation things around, and then like
that's amazing.
And then they had like TV lines of CRT TVs hooked up with old games going in tournaments and arcade cabinets. So it's pretty cool experience. Unfortunately, I was locked away in the theater, so I didn't really get to see much of that. But the theater was like this huge. It was an IMAX theater, so it was sort of weird setup. Like the panel was down there. And, like, if you've ever been in an IMAX, it goes up pretty steep, you know what I mean? And,
yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, there was, like, 300 or over 300 seats there. So it was, like, that was the only bad thing is, like, last year we had a much smaller room. So, it packed out pretty good for the bigger podcasts. But even with, like, Retronauts and the CAGcast and the 8-Bit guy, it didn't look very filled, you know what I mean? Just because, by virtue of just being so many seats. But,
yeah, right.
I mean, overall, it went really well, like the guests all said they had a great time. I was able to keep it running pretty smoothly, which was nice. And
good job, Case.
Yeah, I was telling Perry, we might just have a panel next year if we're lucky.
Oh, fun, man. Awesome.
Which, would be just insane because, I mean, I would never, ever have expected to be like, yeah, I'm going to do a live panel for the like with my podcast. When we started this up, it was just sort of like, hey, we're both big nerds. Let's talk about games.
That's the perfect reason to begin, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love this. I will do this.
Exactly. Passion. That was called the Long Island Retro Expo? That's
Long Island Retro Gaming Expo. Yeah, it's a mouthful.
Retro Gaming Expo. Gotcha. But it's on Long Island.
Yep.
So you got to go to New York.
Good old New York. Yep. Good old Garden City, Long Island. Yeah. No,
How far away is that from where you are, Casey?
From where I am, that's about it was like a 25-minute drive. Not too bad.
Oh my gosh! Wow,
yeah,
that's amazing.
Not bad at all.
Yeah. I was expecting a few hours.
That's how far I go to work today.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Well,
yeah.
If you want to go from like one end of Long Island to the other, from right where Brooklyn is to Montauk, which is the eastmost fork, it's probably about 3 hours. Okay. So it's not terribly long to actually go all the way across Long Island if you have to, and from north to south, it's maybe half hour, 40 minutes,
nice.
if you from the north
that's
to the
very
south
manageable.
shore.
Yeah, that's nice. Very cool.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah,
fun,
we
man.
luck out. It's not too bad. It's just the prices suck. That's the only thing. Everything's so expensive.
In Long Island, yeah. Yeah, they do. I'm trying to convince Casey to move into my town.
Where are you?
I live right next to Omaha, Nebraska.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And so everything is so cheap here. And so,
well, yeah. After
it's just funny. Every time he mentions something, I'm like, if you lived here, setting up mics and stuff.
Are you guys familiar with Turok on the N64? I imagine you are.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So you know David Denspear? Do you know that name?
That doesn't ring a bell
from the N64 days. So he was the director of Turok. I mean, he was very instrumental in making Turok. He was called Mr. Turok at the time. He was doing lots of press, and he's a great guy, a good friend of mine. And he made Turok basically. He was the project director. He was the lead designer. He was the producer. He really pushed it. That and Turok 2. Anyway, he lives in Nebraska too. He used to be down here in Austin, Texas, and he's from Nebraska, and he went back there a couple of years ago. So that's where he is now. I think it might be Omaha as well, actually. I'm not sure though.
Well then, I live 5 minutes away from him.
You know what's so funny?
So he's up there. He's a good guy.
Wherever Perry lives in Iowa, it seems like there's a huge Nintendo fan contingency there. It's like
we have like
4 people on the website.
We have like 4 people on staff, like within like an hour. Just randomly. We don't know each other. But at Nintendo World Report, there's like 4 people. It's funny. So.
Something in the water that
But no, you should look up David. He's a good guy. I'm sure you probably live like 5 million miles away from each other, but whatever. But if it is convenient,
I will.
He's a good guy, and he has a great history in doing games and stuff. And he's right there, dude. So he's a good guy there.
Man, we can just do a live podcast.
Totally. There you go.
Well,
sure he'd love it. And he's a very personable, super nice guy. He would love it. He's really good at that, and he knows games. He's a good person. Yeah, I think you'd enjoy hanging out with him.
Okay, I'm gonna do it. So
David Densbeer.
So don't.
Yeah, just look up the guy who made Turok, and his picture and his name will come up in no time, I'm sure.
Yep, I already did that.
So I feel like you didn't. I mean, you didn't say you worked on Turok, right?
Turok 2, I did some levels for Turok 2, multiplayer levels for Turok 2. Very insignificant, honestly. I didn't do much. I can't take any credit for how awesome Turok and Turok 2 is. I didn't have much to do with them. Yeah.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. There is something. I mean, Retro Studios, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're in Austin.
Has to do with Turok, right? Like there's some connection.
So Iguana Entertainment, which made Turok. That was a studio started by Jeff Spangenberg, and that's where I used to work, and that's where Turok was made, and lots of games were made there. Jeff left, and then Iguana was bought by Acclaim and became Acclaim Studios Austin, then Jeff left Acclaim, and started Retro with a bunch of people from Iguana. And basically then started it all over again and struck up a deal with Nintendo almost immediately, if not literally immediately. So they were like immediately in bed with Nintendo and basically an official Nintendo independent studio, whatever that means. So it's very much a lot of people from. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So a lot of people from Iguana / Acclaim Studios Austin went to start that studio. So yeah, there's a lot of connection there. Yeah.
So do you ever eat some prime rib with the Retro guys?
I have a couple of really good friends that have been there or are still there. I don't know a lot of people there. They're up north Austin, in South Austin, so I don't see them much.
Gotcha.
But I've had some really good friends, very close friends of mine actually, that have worked there or do work there. That I chat with now and then, but they are so secretive, it's ridiculous. I always give them a hard time about it. Like, I don't care. I'll talk about what I'm working on because that's fun. They are so secretive. They have the fear in them, man. They cannot talk about it because they could lose their job. And it's like, fair enough, I get it, but I will still try and get that out of you. I don't care.
So how's
Metroid
Prime 4?
Is it the new Donkey Kong? Is it new Metroid? What are you doing? But they never tell me. They are trained good, man. They never tell me. It's incredible. They know they can trust me, but they know it's just not even worth risking it. They're like, nope, just in case you're wearing a wire right now, I will not say anything.
Well, you just need to go over there with like an 18-pack, and then just you'll pretend to drink a bunch of beers. Then when they pass out, you just rummy through the computer and find out all the beers.
I thought you were going to say get them drunk. So.
Like, I don't know if they have this now, but in the past, they'll even have part of the company that's unaware of what another part of the company is working on. That's how serious they are about keeping secrets. It's like, wow.
Isn't that weird?
It's like CIA level.
Like, what's the big? What's the big reason? Like, it's not a big deal, right? If someone knows you're working on like a game.
Yeah, but I guess I think
Nintendo,
I don't know.
Nintendo are masters at PR, even they make some mistakes, but
yes, they are.
But they're masters at it, and I think part of that is choosing the right time and the right way disseminating that information, and they don't want it getting out without their control.
Yeah, because like look at Mario plus Rabbids. You know, when people first heard of that, they were like what a stupid idea! This game's gonna be terrible. You know, and I'm sure
that worked out perfect.
Oh well, it ended up working out all right, but I'm sure
I think it ended up working.
Didn't start well.
Magical. Everyone would have freaked out like crazy if they announced that at E3. I feel like, you know.
But if they coupled that with that awesome gameplay, you know, immediately, it'd probably take a little time to swallow. Like, all right, this is still a really weird concept, but the game looks amazing, you know.
Yeah.
No. Totally.
But I agree with you what you're saying though, Perry. Like sometimes expectations are the maker and breaker of things, as I totally believe. So I think with that, they could have, if they were smart, it would have been interesting to release this kind of silly, somewhat negative. Like the people were really making fun of that poor little. I want to say Minion, but are they Rabbit? That's right. Rabbit dressed up as Princess Peach. Like they're making super, loads of fun of that. Became a meme in no time. Super negative. But then they kind of turned it around. So that it probably did help them in some way go from a negative to a positive rather than trying to be a positive immediately.
I mean, well, because you hear Rabbids and Mario. Oh,
how can that be good?
Oh no.
Yeah.
And then. Yeah, and then, but then so it's like you're trying to even fathom what that could mean. You don't see any images, and then, then a few months later, oh, I see what this is, and then, and then they reveal it at E3, and it's like, okay, I was ready for this, and I'm prepared, and this actually looks pretty sweet.
Yeah,
definitely.
So it's always best to kind of go in with low expectations. It's always best.
No. Oh, you're preaching to the choir, Jules. That's what we always talk about here. We always talk. That's part of being a good Nintendo fan.
Well, not me.
Even in movies, it's just good to go with low expectations. Like Valerian,
I know.
I mean, that had been kind of dogged on a little bit, and it's not a great movie, but I enjoyed it. You go in there and you're like, yeah, I'm not expecting much. There's been some bad things said about this. And you go in there like, wasn't that bad.
That was like Suicide Squad for me. Right. Everyone said that movie was
Suicide Squad is so bad, dude, though. No, that's just a terrible movie.
See, for me, I went in and everyone was saying how terrible it was. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be hands down the worst movie I'm ever going to see. And I really didn't, don't get me wrong, I didn't think it was a great movie by any means. But I don't think it was as bad as everyone made it out to be.
God, I can't stand that movie. And it's not the worst movie ever, for sure, but it's such a stupid movie. So pointless. So dumb.
I had no urge to see that movie at all. And I'm a huge I like superhero movies. Although it's definitely been, I haven't been into them as much. I still haven't seen Doctor Strange.
See, I'm not a superhero fan.
Doctor Strange is pretty neat.
I really like the new SpiderMan. That was good.
That was really good.
I haven't seen any of those. Actually, it's funny because Suicide Squad is one of the few superhero movies I have seen.
Maybe that's why you don't like superhero movies.
Well, there you go. Speaking of Spider-Man, did you guys watch the Sony E3 conference thing, whatever you call it?
Oh yeah, that game.
No, I didn't.
I thought the reveal was pretty bad actually, just because I thought they just kept showing gameplay like it was super exciting. I'm like, this looks cool, but I feel like they ramped it on for a really long time. But
it was on for a long time. You're right. It was all right, we get it.
I think
we can go into the next game now.
Yeah, I think that's going to be one of those games that I don't think I'll personally pick it up and play it, but I bet you once you get your hands on, it's going to be so much fun. Just shooting and drifting throughout the entire city.
I mean, just as a developer, I was just trying to think about the sheer manpower that went into making that thing. I was just blown away by just the level of detail on Spider-Man himself was ridiculous. It was wow, you can see probably the thread on his suit. It's it's so detailed. Just the model and just how fluid the animation was with the gameplay, and it's just oh my gosh, the amount of work that went into this game is intense. But it comes off as a nice, fun, simple arcade action game or whatever. But I was kind of blown away by just how well they executed that. I was like, oh my god, I wouldn't want to work in a game like that. That would be a nightmare. That wouldn't be fun to make. But
I know
that was super impressive though. I mean, and that's Naughty Dog, right? Who did that?
No, that's.
No, sorry, Insomniac.
That's it. Yep.
Yeah. I
think that game's gonna.
But yeah, it looks impressive.
especially since that's going to be one of the games, like, now that the PS4 Pro's out. I bet you they're really going to make that game look insane with
4K,
like the 4K
blah, blah, blah.
and all that.
Exactly, that's why it's super high res, exactly, because it has to look amazing on... I mean, it's better than movie quality, basically. It's, like, ridiculous. Anyway, incredible. It's really... I was just kind of, exciting. Like, awed by where we are just in production and technology. I mean, I'm not that interested in being in that, but I'm awed by it. It's like, wow. I mean, just that's a machine, man, that can do that. It's like... That's incredible. That's where we are now. That's what we can do with games. It's like, man, that's amazing. It's good. It's great. It's really,
and it's
really
funny
cool.
you think back to like just how game changing, Super Mario 64 was, where you're like, it'll never get better than this. Are you kidding me? And now it's like, geez.
But it's interesting though. Like, part of me thinks in some ways it hasn't though, which is interesting. Like Mario 64 is. I don't know if it's 60 frames a second, but it certainly felt like it. I'm pretty sure it is. But it's super slick. But the way they executed the control of Mario running around, in some ways, still hasn't been captured, even by Mario himself. Like, Mario Sunshine, Mario Galaxy is probably closer. But it's like, it's pretty unique what they pulled off with that game. And they've never done a game like that again, where you go into a world and you're like, you pick, you choose this star, I'm going to do this star. But it's the same level, but the level changed a little bit to facilitate that. And then you go back into the same level and choose a different star. Now it's slightly different, but basically the same. They've never done a game like that again, really, have they? I don't think I have, unless I'm completely forgetting something. But I really liked the way they approached that. That was very difficult to design a game like that. And I thought that was really clever that they pulled it off. But the nice thing is, the reason they did that was because the N64 cartridges could only hold so much stuff. And they can only do so much in memory. They probably only had so much time. So it was a nice classic case of limitations dictating the design, and they pulled off a pretty beautiful thing in spite of that.
It's actually funny that you mentioned like the limitations, because one of the panels at the Expo was his name was Brandon Bailey, and he did he was doing a panel on old chip tunes and the music and stuff, and how the limitations. And yet they were still managed these incredible soundtracks that are just, still unrivaled today. You go back and you listen to Chrono Trigger in, Final Fantasy III and all these games, and it's just like, it's incredible what they were able to achieve. Like you said, when you have strict limitations, I think that's really where you get to see the creativity of people, making things work that, probably shouldn't.
I agree. Yep. Totally, and that's why I like doing the retro stuff, is because it forces you to. It's a challenge, to try and make something that's even half decent with those limitations. It's fun to try and do that, and exactly.
And it's just fun, and it works well.
Yeah,
that's the thing with 2D stuff too. So and old school gaming. So Well, anyway, speaking of SpiderMan. We are going to take a quick break and come back with the eShop Roundup.
Boom.
So
segue.
Let's do that.
Segue.
Alrighty, and we are back, and it is time. Yes, it is that time of the week. It is for the eShop Roundup.
The eShop Roundup. Yeehaw.
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 Oh, yeah.
Alrighty.
Here you go.
Perry, why don't you kick us off here with the old Wii U download?
That's right. There's 2 games that came out on the Wii U download, and they're both Virtual Console games for the TurboGrafx 16.
Alrighty.
Amazing. Konami is... I think they're both from Konami. First one is Soldier Blade, which is it's a shooter. It's for $5.99. I mean, it looks like a shooter for sure. I have here, this is what the game says. It's you're in SIA, which means Special Interception Air Force pilot. So you're a pilot, and it has new features such as the gun body option for avoiding enemy attacks.
Nice.
Sounds pretty cool, huh? And the burst out system, which has a different effect depending on your power up level.
I've heard about that burst out system.
Oh yeah, that's all we could talk about back on the playgrounds. Cool.
Revolutionary, really.
Yeah. I also noticed that on the title screen,
check that out.
If you look on the title screen, it looks like because it's like Soldier Blade, so you're playing like as a soldier type thing, like the Special Interception Air Force.
You're like a flying. Obviously, you're a pilot, so you're flying it.
It's a flying shooter. It's
like a mech.
Yeah, Okay. And the mech on it looks like Shovel Knight.
That's awesome.
I thought that looked kind of
crossover.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because that cool crossover they did with Blaster Master.
Yeah, that was impressive,
so cool.
Right?
So cool.
Both that and Shantae, I was like blown away at the unique abilities those characters had in that game. Like, wow, they really did it right. Amazing. Yep. It's like, gosh, that was a lot of effort.
Gotta get Max on there.
Right? That'd be neat.
Man, wouldn't that be so cool?
Oh, that'd be awesome.
That'd be nice.
It would work so well too. It really would.
He has a gun.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that'd be neat. You know what would be fun? I've always total segue. I can come back to this.
No problem.
Need to go on.
No problem.
But I remember how cool would Max be in Splatoon? Because he has water. So you have one side that has ink, the other side that has ink. He has neither. He has water. So you go in there, you're just a nuisance washing people's ink away. Yeah, tell me that isn't written right there.
That sounds
That
amazing.
is written in the stars right there. It has
to
be.
Man, that'd be people. Everyone would gun for him because he's just the son of a gun, messing everything up.
You just have water, so you're just messing everyone up. Awesome.
Oh, I love it.
How cool would that be?
I love it.
Anyway,
that could be its own mode.
Yeah, I know, that'd be so cool. They would probably just put Mario or something in there with a flood or something lame like that.
Boo. Oh, that would be amazing. If they did that.
Well, each team has one. One gets Mario with the flood.
I know.
Other gets Max.
It is too perfect though. Someone in there with water washing everything away. That would be such a nuisance mode. It'd be awesome. It'd be so fun.
Maybe he cleans up after matches. He's like, they god dang painted it all again.
He's the janitor. He's like, that'd
be hilarious.
He's the one that hoses it off every match. Yeah, there you go. And then he's fed up with it, so then he starts.
Yeah, messing up their games. Yeah, pesky kids. Yeah.
Yeah, see, it'd have to be Max, like he's like an old man.
Yeah,
you're right. Well, Granny, I guess. Yeah, there we go.
You have to have the Granny.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. Perfect.
Just convinced it's mud.
Anyway. That's amazing.
Anyway, Casey, you want to take the next game?
Sure, another TurboGrafx 16. This one is Final Soldier for $5.99, and if you couldn't guess, it's another shooter. Looks sort of similar to Soldier Blade, but sort of like most shooters generally have that same look though. And
every other shooter ever.
And a note here that Perry's got is there is no Shovel Knight on the title screen.
So it's missing that feature.
So therefore, I mean, it's the pretty clear winner is Soldier Blade if you're going to pick one of the two.
It didn't say if it's a sequel. I assume it's a sequel.
I mean, there's definitely some suggestions there. But you have to wonder what they're thinking when they release them back to back like that. Like who? I mean, because I think that you said it was Konami, so I wonder if it actually is Konami or if it's Nintendo. I don't know, but it's interesting. At least two games back to back, same price. Basically scavenging off of each other. It's like, who's going to buy both? I guess someone might. I don't know.
Well, we've had that before where it was like, oh, look, it's Street Fighter week, and they released like 4 different classic Street Fighter games, and it's like, well...
It seems like such a shame. It's like, yeah, exactly, that happened on the 3DS, right? In the Virtual Console.
Yeah, it was like, what's going on?
Like, one of them was really bad. I don't know which one it was, though. One of them, I think it was Alpha, it was awful. And one of them was amazing. I'm not sure, I think it was the Turbo one. Anyway. But, yeah, exactly. Release a bunch of the same things at once. It's like, dude, you're just sabotaging your own sales. I don't know. I guess it's the shotgun effect. I don't know. It's weird.
I mean, it also is, August 2017. So
yeah, they're...
On the Wii U.
Yeah.
I'd love to see the sales figures.
Even existing on here? Yeah. I do have a soft spot in my heart for TurboGrafx PC Engine because I never got to experience it when it came out, and I kind of wish I had. It's such an awesome little machine, such a weird little unique game. It's definitely its own flavor.
Gorgeous games.
They really are. They're very unique, awesome 16-bit looking stuff. Really nice looking stuff. So I'm kind of glad to see some of this stuff because I didn't get to experience it then. But to be honest, I'm not buying them though, so I guess it's not working on me.
I know. I bet you what though, if it was on Switch,
I would be.
I'd be buying them.
If it was on Switch, I would be. Wii U, that's I know. Such a dead machine.
But
anyway,
speaking of Wii U, let's move on to the 3DS.
Yeah. Am I up next? I think I'm up next, aren't I?
Yes.
All right,
I think it's perfect for you.
3DS download this week, or last week, or whenever, round up. Monster Hunter Stories, the demo. Which I did grab. I went into this cautiously optimistic. I didn't know what to expect. I played some Monster Hunter. I appreciate it. Don't have the patience for it, but love it. Get it, but don't want it.
Sure.
So I was like, but Monster Hunter Stories looks gorgeous. Totally up my alley. Totally has that kind of Ever Oasis kind of vibe. Kind of, not really, but kind of. So I was like, cool.
Is this an RPG?
Yeah, I guess.
Like, what is it?
I guess so.
Yeah, I believe
you could call
it's
it that.
more. Yeah, isn't it more trying to be more like a standard RPG opposed to like the I'm gonna hunt down enemies and like grind for loot?
Now, I only played a little bit of it, so I don't know the full thing yet. But I jumped in there and I made my character. I jumped into the town. Gorgeous artwork. I mean, the production value is ridiculous. It's like through the roof. The intro cinematic is amazing. Really, really gorgeous. And you talk to some characters. There's definitely some dialogue in there. I think it's Japanese voice with English text, basically, which sounds great. It's cool. If you like that, I like it.
Yeah.
And it's really well done. It's fun. It's cute. And I didn't actually get to any combat. I don't know what the combat's like, but the interface and walking around, talking to people and doing stuff is really slick. And I'm like, great, I've played enough. I know I'm going to buy it. This is solid. So I just stopped playing the demo and I pre-ordered the game. And I pre-ordered it. I actually ordered an amiibo, which will be coming, actually, I think.
Those look so
this
sweet,
week.
though.
Yeah,
know,
those
right?
amiibos.
Yeah, I got the boy rider
huge.
on the thing. On the flying thing. Only $16 though, which is nice. I mean, it's obviously a little bit more pricey than the regular ones, but not too bad.
Yeah.
And I think it was a Japanese import. I'm not sure, but I think so. I don't think they've actually been officially released in the US. But someone tells me that they'll still work because I don't think amiibo are region locked. But if they are, who cares? I don't know. So, but anyway, either way. But yeah, I ordered that. So no, I'm definitely all in. It looks really nice. It looks really well done. It's like the amount of effort that's been poured into this is ridiculous. So anyway, very nice.
Well,
good stuff. Thumbs up for
me. I
me.
looked it up real quick. It is an RPG turn-based combat system. So
okay, there we go.
It's going to be more akin to your standard JRPG.
Yeah, go. See, but that's what appeals to me. That appeals to me way more.
Right, you can take it your own pace.
Than the actual Monster Hunter game, you know?
Yeah.
Like I'm interested in the story, in the world and stuff, and and it has a different, really cool art style. And
it's beautiful.
You gotta think
it's beautiful looking game.
One of the biggest. It's like probably one of the biggest franchises in Japan for sure. So,
and for that game to come out at this point in the 3DS's life, obviously they had no control over it, but this took a long time to make this freaking game for sure. I wouldn't be surprised if we see it on a different platform because the artwork is ridiculous, the amount of effort that's been put into it. So surely even just up-resing just the resolution alone, you could put it on the Switch and it'd look awesome. Just the same exact game, just on a higher resolution monitor would be like, wow, this looks awesome. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see it again, kind of similar to what they did with Capcom
Double
did
Cross.
with I was thinking Resident Evil Revelations, because that was an amazing game on the 3DS, and then they up-resed it or did whatever to the other ones. I'm looking forward to that on the Switch, by the way. I pre-ordered that puppy too.
Yeah, me too.
$31.99, please.
And the second one.
Yeah, it comes with two, right? It's a 2-pack deal.
Yeah.
So cool.
The second one's digital.
Yeah, that's right. Isn't that odd?
Strange,
I mean, that's fine, but it's so odd. I hope it's not like super mega awesome huge gigs. That'd be annoying.
It's like 60 gigs.
Well, it's episodic, right? Goodness. So I can't imagine, I mean, I guess, I don't know. Did you play Resident Evil 7, Jules?
I haven't. How is it?
Oh,
Have you?
Man. Woo!
What did you play on?
I played it on PS4. Okay. And no VR, sadly. I wish.
Right, yeah.
But no, that game is awesome, man. If you really it's taken,
I should probably get that.
It's got the roots of a classic Resident Evil game with the quality of life of a game released in 2017. Obviously no tank controls. They make the change to first person, but
you can actually save now and then and stuff like that. Right. Okay.
Yeah, it's a really, really good game. I would recommend it if you like Resident Evil.
And is it on Xbox as well? I actually don't have a PS4.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure it's Xbox, PS4, and I think PC.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay. I might get PC then.
I think it's one of those. Yeah, it came out for everything. I'm waiting for the Switch version.
Yes.
I double dipped so hard.
Yeah, he's already played it, but yeah, he's so like a couple weeks ago, we were talking about this, and he's like, I really want Resident Evil 7. I'm like, yeah, it'd be cool if they released the Revelations and Revelations 2. You know? And then they announced it literally like 3 days later. I'm like, there you go.
Yeah, that was great. I never finished that on the 3DS. I got pretty far. I enjoyed it, and I don't know, stuff happened. So, so I'm like, oh, cool. Perfect opportunity to get back into it and play it back to back 1 and 2. I was like, awesome.
Oh, and it's gonna look so good on the Switch.
Yeah, it is. Yes. Such a beautiful game. It's a solid game too.
Oh yeah. I just a quick thing. I played that on a new 3DS, my XL. Mm-hmm. Because I had the circle pad, the second circle pad.
Oh yeah.
And I remember I had to play it with like a piece of paper towel on my thumb to accurately use that C stick on the new 3DS. The nub. I mean, and it worked okay. Yeah. It's not great at all. You know.
It's really not. It's not good. It's not good.
Yeah. Well, that's why you should have imported the Circle Pad Pro like a real man.
Oh, look out.
Well, it's you know what though?
And that is pretty good, but it's a bit bulky,
I know.
It's just huge. It's so. I remember I played with the Circle Pad Pro.
It's like a Wii U.
And then I would
turns it to like a game.
I know it is like a Wii U. It's funny.
I remember playing that game on my lunch breaks in my car, and it was so bright out that I'd like have to put like a blanket over my head. So I'm just like sitting in my car with a blanket over my head playing Resident Evil Revelations.
That's awesome.
At least it covered up the Circle Pad Pro.
Yeah.
Play
so the Switch should be perfect. I mean, it's gonna be great.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, let's move on. So yeah. El Menage.
I don't know.
Probably that.
No, I've never heard of it. I have no idea.
This is on the 3DS. El Menage. It's pretty expensive. $19.99. I mean, for a game we've never heard of, it seems kind of interesting.
I need to search that. I've never heard of that. What is that?
I'm looking at screens. It sort of gives me a Shin Megami Tensei look, like with 3DS. The demons.
It's a dungeon RPG. They tout it has 16 classes of adventurers,
screens.
And it's really customizable.
Oh, it's okay. It's Japanese originally, I guess. It looks like it's definitely a Japanese game that's been ported over here. Interesting.
Yeah.
Like I said, it sort of gives me that Atlas feel.
Right.
It feels like maybe that's what they're trying to emulate, but
it was a retail game maybe in Japan. It looked like.
I mean, the screens look pretty nice.
Starfish maybe published over there. Yeah, it looks really neat.
It's so weird hearing about these games out of nowhere.
I mean, who's
pretty big deals.
I mean, I guess there's a huge audience for it, or maybe there isn't. I mean, I don't know. Like when I see stuff like that, especially when it's priced like that, I'm like, is there an audience that I'm completely oblivious to? Like, who's buying this? I mean, not me. It's definitely not up my alley. I have absolutely zero interest in that.
I'll just email them in like a month. And be like, did anyone buy your game? Yeah. Yeah, we sold 100,000.
Like you say, who knows? Maybe in Japan it's popular. I mean, there's plenty of 3DSs in the wild out there, so you never know.
For sure.
I mean, I know like the Vita gets all sorts of weird Japanese RPGs that like do very, very well. So maybe it's a case like that.
Interesting, obscure library. Speaking of which, slight detour again. I've been really enjoying getting physical Vita games. To kind of go with my collection, and the most recent addition to that, I suppose, would be I've got Oceanhorn for Vita physical.
Oh, that's so cool.
Which is really cool, and also got Teslagrad, which was only released in Europe, so I was very fortunate to get my hands on that puppy. Also got Shovel Knight, Child of Light, Broken. And of course, awesome. Shantae, Half Gene Hero. So yeah, I've been kind of getting into, and of course, Mutant Mads and Zero Drifter. Hello.
Heck yeah.
So, and Super Challenge, of course. So so I've been kind of getting into some Vita physical stuff, which is really fun because the boxes are so tiny and cute. They're really cool to have.
They are awesome.
I've got my single Persona 4 Golden box for my Vita. Well, actually, I ended up selling my Vita. but I kept my Persona 4.
I imported the Neon Orange from Japan Vita, which is a thing of beauty. It is amazing.
It is pretty sweet.
You know what it was?
The screen is the OLED. It's ridiculous. Oh my god, it's so good.
And is that that's the second? That's the Slim, right? The Vita Slim.
It is the Slim. Yeah.
Or it's the second.
Oh, and it still has the OLED.
Yeah, weirdly enough, I think only the Japanese one has that though. I think.
Oh really?
Yeah, I know the mini ones in America.
I was
they got rid of
it to not have the OLED. I was prepared for that, and then it came, and I'm like, oh, this looks just as good. So, and I compared it apples to apples. I'm like, no, that's the same screen. The blacks are black. I mean, this is the same screen. And I'm like, wow, okay, I didn't expect that. So I was very pleasantly surprised.
You know, when I got the Slim, I got a Slim off a Craigslist deal, and I was like, oh my goodness, like, because I had the original before and I had sold it. But I got the Slim and I was like, this is it's like lighter and it feels really good.
Really refined, yeah.
Yeah, and even though the screen was worse, it still looks really nice.
It's still a great screen.
You know what?
That's cool that the OLED is on there too.
I feel like, it's definitely a better, like the OLED is great, but I feel like the downgrade from, to the Slim without it, it's really not that noticeable. I mean, unless if you're really picky.
It's
but
not.
Yeah.
It's
well, especially
really
when you're used to the 3DS. I mean, 3DS screen is not great.
No.
Especially when you look at the Switch screen. Switch screen is like basically an OLED, right? It's like, wow,
that's
that's
so
really
good.
nice.
It is so funny to see
like
cheap. How similar the Vita and Switch. Like, I feel like the Switch is what
a lot of
Sony wanted the
similarities.
Vita to be.
Totally. It's so weird, right? Yeah, it really is. It's kind of ironic.
How one of them absolutely, I don't want to say bombed because it wasn't terrible, but it very underperformed, compared to now the Switch, which
For sure.
the early goings have been very good. So
yeah. Totally.
But the one thing the Switch doesn't have is that 3D baby.
Yep.
And that's seriously one of my favorite, and will always be one of my favorite things.
True.
And
I agree.
Speaking of
segue. Hello.
This is an actual segue, and I don't think it'd be right for Jools to take this next one, so I'll have
Probably
Casey.
not.
Well, let's have Casey do it.
Well, this little old game, I don't know if you guys have heard of it. A little Chicken Wiggle coming out this week.
Chicken Wiggle.
Which it'll actually be coming out. It's on the 17th, right? The day this post
it's
goes out.
downloaded right now. Mm-hmm. Yeah, people are listening to this. There's no reason why you shouldn't be downloading it right now. Or they could be.
I mean, they should.
Yeah, they've already purchased it. But
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Clocking in at $14.99. Definitely. I mean, we're gonna get into the nitty gritty, but early impressions very, very good.
Yeah. Now it might seem like it's kind of biased to have us sitting here with the guy. It's
a slanted show.
It might be kind of but honestly, I think $14.99 is a steal, and I'm serious. It's especially when you think of like Super Mario Maker and stuff that came out. I just kind of feel like it's like Super Mario Maker, but it works so much better, and it's like it's the online works, and I'm just saying. I know, we're gonna get into the nitty gritty, but
I just want to take this time to thank our sponsor, Louie, for bringing you the Talk Nintendo.
Was
that good, Jools? Did we say it right?
Is the check in the mail? Well, I appreciate that, guys. I really do. I mean, you never know, and we can get into it later. But thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. We'll get into it a lot. Yeah, but now this is the best segue. So we are going to switch. Over to the Switch download.
Mm-hmm.
So and now it's a huge week this week, and it made me think.
It's a lot.
It made me realize, this is all last week, all of it. I mean, it's 7 games, and all pretty. There's a stinker, but all of them are like.
There's a
good.
Stinker. That's funny.
There is a stinker. But why don't you take the first one, Jools?
Neo Geo, the King of Fighters 2000. For a $7.99. I guess all the Neo Geo stuff is $7.99, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's their go. Yeah. So, I was literally thinking the same thing that's written here. Yeah, isn't that out already? There's a bunch of
there's a bunch of King of Fighters games.
There is one very similar to this, isn't there? I guess this is 2000, so this is probably like an enhanced version of King of Fighters, right?
Well, the good thing is at least Neo Geo they know how to space out their King of Fighter games. You know, they don't just
At least they
drop
don't
them on
release them next to each other. Good point.
That's true.
Touche. Nicely played.
Well, and you gotta think. See, back when this was released, it cost like $200 to buy this, and now, you know, year to year,
$7.99. It's kind of weird. So. But these games are beautiful. I mean, the pixel art is ridiculous.
Oh, I know.
The gameplay is so tight. The collision boxes. I mean, it really does rival Street Fighter. I mean, it's a different style of fighting game, but very similar. They are amazing games for sure.
I mean, have you played Metal Slug?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness!
Metals, yeah.
Seriously, some of the most amazing pixel animation art
Incredible.
I've ever seen.
And I mean, when you saw that originally in the arcade, it was like, what is going on? Because the amount of character and charm and animation and special case things that were going on, you're like, what is going on? You never saw anything like that. It was amazing. And the artwork was so incredible.
Turf Masters is really, really beautiful looking game too.
Mm-hmm. Neo Geo, I really like. I remember seeing Last Resort on an arcade machine for the first time. The shoot 'em up. I think is already out on some platform.
That's.
And I just remember seeing that, and I was like, wow. I mean, going underwater in the ship and then coming back out, and just I don't know, all the artwork is just like, what is? And when you die or when you kill them, I think the little guys kind of come out of them, like the little pilots, like fall out of the things that you blow up. Maybe thinking of a different game, but
awesome.
There's amazing attention to detail, and it's and the music and the whole style. It's so slick. And this was when we were still, when the SNES and Genesis were out. So it was like, what is going on? Like you have this Neo Geo, like doing these ridiculous like arcade quality game. Well, it was an arcade machine basically. You just happened to be able to buy them at home for a ridiculous amount of money. But at the same time, we were playing SNES at home and Genesis and stuff. It was like a weird time. God. But yeah, the Neo Geo was amazing. Or is amazing still, I guess.
Yep. Yeah. And they're the only ones putting out those retro games. On the Switch for now.
I've bought like 3 or 4 Neo Geo games, and like if they had more retro, especially Virtual Console with Nintendo, I would definitely be spending quite a bit on retro games. But I guess
the only thing is just there's not a lot of variety within the genres of games,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess
it's like
arcade games sort of had their own kind of thing, It's like what worked in the arcade was those shooters, and fighting games where people would keep putting quarters in,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like Shock Troopers was one I really remember and being very fond of. That's out already on the Switch, isn't it? I think as well.
Yeah, that was one of the first ones I'm pretty sure that came out.
Yeah, that's a good one. It's a fun. Yeah. But now it is kind of dated though. You play it and you're like, it's fun for a few minutes, and then it's so repetitive and it's beautiful, but it's like, it's interesting. It definitely has aged a little bit.
Right. Well, the next game we got is called Rocket Fist, and this is for $9.99. And this game looks pretty sweet. It's advertised as fast-paced rocket dodgeball arena. Now, have you seen this, guys?
No, this is totally new to me. So is this a new game?
Check it out. Yes, brand new game. It's kind of like so on staff on the site, Justin Nation, he's just totally into it. He did a lot of coverage on it, and I asked him for a quote, and he said, "Rocket Fist is the best overall value action multiplayer game on the Switch, hands down. Playing it reminds me of classic Super Bomberman matchups with friends on the SNES in terms of intensity and excitement. Plus, I freaking love Uncle Knuckle."
Uncle Knuckle.
I'm afraid to ask who Uncle Knuckle is, but...
this game looks really cool.
I'm actually going to look up the eShop now and check it out. So Rocket Fist.
You go around and I know you have to like you're a robot and you have to pick up pick up the arm to punch or something like that, and then you're trying to get the other player on the screen, and it's so check it out.
Very fun. Yeah, that looks slick. So it kind of has almost like tanks in a way, kind of thing, kind of overhead kind of. Yeah.
Another really cool looking game that I have also heard quite a bit of positive buzz around is Ironcast, which comes in at $12.99. Now this is like a turn-based strategy meets explosive mech combat. So it's like a puzzle game, like a match 3 type puzzle game with like a lot more going into it outside of just that. I guess that's like the core mechanic. David Lloyd, he said I guess Perry went out and got all the quotes this week. He's being fancy.
Yeah.
Says, an addictive puzzle game that tricks you into thinking you're actually playing an RPG. So,
yeah.
That, like I said, I've seen screenshots, and, you see, like, the match 3 puzzle board, and you're like, okay, but then... Yeah, it looks
so
like some
very
more, like,
eccentric.
mech and
Very
steampunk.
It's a game that hooks you. I know that. That's what I hear from everyone. Yeah.
Huh.
So
it's
$12.99.
Am I taking up the next one? I think I am. Next we have Flip Wars for $9.99. Butt stompers, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes. It looks neat. I don't know. I haven't played it. It looks pretty and solid and colorful.
Now this was the Nintendo one, right? It was like called Project Muro something. Project
Mekaru or Makuru or something.
Yeah. I feel like we were talking to someone on the show about this. Was it Neil? Okay, yeah.
Neil. Yeah.
Who if I remember correctly, he said it was it was fun, but it doesn't have enough game modes to really.
There's just
keep you coming back, but hopefully Nintendo can continue to support it and maybe add some more stuff. But
and I think they are, and it's online. I think that's one of the big things that I was thinking that would be a great Talk Nintendo challenge to do.
Yep, here you go. When you're ready to compete, jump into an online battle or a private room with friends via local wireless. So.
Yeah, I've heard it's really fun. There's just not a lot of meat, but what's there is really solid.
It has a multiplayer with 2 Joy-Cons, which is, nice. It's good that games are supporting that, obviously, on the Switch, as they should. Be a damn shame if they didn't.
Important that it's online, too.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so, I don't know if that looks cool. I want to get it. I just, it's kind of like, there's so many games, but...
that might be a lullaby. If there's ever another lull ever. I don't think there ever is going to be. Yeah, I'll have a game to play for the rest of my life.
Yeah,
this next one kind of reminds me of Hyper Light Drifter in a way.
That's what I've heard from a lot of people, yes.
Why don't you take this one, Jules?
Oh, well, okay. Phantom Trigger, $14.99. Stan is losing control. I don't know why it says that, but he is, apparently.
That's just the first sentence in the...
But it's in, like, all bold.
I just thought it was great.
Yeah, it's a pixel art game. It's funny, like, when you see the key art title screen or whatever, it really reminds me of the guy from... Oh, my God, it was a game back in the day on PlayStation. Soul Reaver? Do you remember Soul Reaver? Does that sound familiar?
I wasn't a huge PlayStation man back in the day.
Maybe even be Dreamcast as well. But anyway, Soul Reaver, that pose and the way he has like a scarf coming off, everything, that looks very Soul Reaver. I wonder if that's actually stolen from or inspired by a piece of art from them. Anyway, looks like a pixel game, very similar. Yeah, looks
stolen.
Looks very similar to has a similar kind of style to Hyper Light Drifter, but I have no clue what the gameplay is like.
Yeah, I was listening to Nintendo Voice Chat, and they were talking about it a little bit, and they said it's kind of like, what is it? It's kind of like Zelda-y, like that gameplay, but it's different.
It supports 2-player, which is interesting. I wonder if that's co-op or a different mode.
Yeah, little blurb. Throw spells and traps mid-combo. Ride the edge of control and chaos in this fresh take on action combat. You are your own worst enemy in Phantom Trigger. So,
like, where did this even come from? Like, who made this?
This is a Tiny Build. Well, they're the publisher. It doesn't say.
All these beautiful, cool games coming out.
It's like, and it's interesting because like Nintendo, I mean, unless this was like a quick port from something, not quick as in cheap and dirty, but they were able to do it very fast because they're awesome. It's almost like, because Nintendo was so strict on who could get development access and get games on there, so it's really fascinating to see the games roll out, because you kind of get a feel for who was let in the boys club early on and who wasn't, kind of thing. And we weren't, by the way. I'm not bitter. And we got in eventually, so I'm okay. But so it's fascinating to see which games roll out and kind of see where they came from and what kind of journey they went through to get it on the Switch. So these games that I've never heard of, it's just fascinating to kind of learn the history of who are these guys and how did they get this on there. What journey did they take to get this? It's fascinating.
Yeah, I know a few of, like, when we were at PAX, one of the questions we were really, looking to get from these developers were how it was, like the porting, games that, they're working on for PS4, PC, Steam, whatever, and like how easy it is to port it over to the Switch. And a lot of them, it seemed like they were having no problems. They were able to get it up and running, relatively quick. So maybe it, was just people who already had games finished, and it took them a couple months to bang it out, the port and
totally. And that's been our experience as well with it, which has been nice to move stuff over to it, which is a relief. And I don't know about literally the state of Unity right now, but I know Unity obviously supports it as well, so that's awesome. So hopefully that'll bring a lot of goodness over.
Now, speaking of lots of goodness,
you won't find much in this one, apparently.
I was just looking at the screenshots for the next one. Wow, it looks rough.
Okay, so this is a game that, like, I remember when the Switch was, before it released, this game was a retail game that was pre-orderable, and I had no clue what it was. I don't know who makes it. I don't know. It's weird, it's weird being in.
Is it Switch exclusive?
No,
I think
so.
It was released on
it is
PC.
Retail.
Okay.
But anyway, I had no clue. I just no clue what it is. But I did get a couple quotes from people on staff.
Okay.
So
this should be fun.
Yeah. So Danny the Bivens from he lives in Japan. He's on the Famicast. He gave it. Now I read his review and I saw a score, and it said 1.5.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, like 1.5. It didn't say out of what, but so I messaged him like, okay, so
it's out of 5.
1.5 out of 10 or out of 5, and he's like,
right.
No, it's out of 10.
Wow.
So and then this, then I also messaged Carmine Red, and he said that Troll and I has vision, but it's buried under too many technical issues and difficulties to comfortably achieve it.
Yeah. So the idea was bigger than what they could pull off, basically.
Yeah.
And just a point of reference, I gave Room in the Night Sky a 2 out of 10. So.
Nice.
Oh,
the human in the game looks suspiciously like Link, even wearing a green shirt and blonde hair. It's interesting. Anyway.
Look at it. Yeah, he really does. Look at that.
Anyway, it's $29.99.
Yeah, that's not going to sell.
It's a retail game. That's the weird thing.
It's not going to happen. Sorry, guys.
But it's just weird, It's like, how come this one was so far in development and was a retail game that was released, and how come it's crappy? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just weird.
I know. You have to wonder what the story is behind that. It's Maximum Games. Yeah, like, love to hear what happened there.
Well, this is what bothered me so much, Jules, is when Room in the Night Sky was released. And I was like, how is this freaking released? And Jools doesn't have a dev kit. I didn't get it. Seriously, I was like, this is so stupid.
Was that
like, it makes no sense.
European developer, or was that a US developer?
Japanese.
Japanese, okay.
Toysoft.
Yeah, I think, so it seems like the access that developers had varied based on the region that they were located in. That's probably as much as I should say on that one. So that affected a lot of what people could and could not make based on the region they were in.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all over now. We don't have to think about it.
Well, when
the wound is still open. No, I'm kidding.
Yes.
Well,
when
Perry mentioned we had 7 games, he mentioned there was a stinker, and that is Sonic Mania. 1990.
It's coming up next. Exactly. Oh, look out.
I kid.
Oh my gosh.
Sonic Mania 1999. We touched on it a little bit before, of course, but Nick Bray had this to say. He says, classic Sonic gameplay finally returns alongside fantastic remixed zones and all new ones that are instant classics. The boss fights are also very inventive and fun. So, sort of echoes, I feel like.
Now, full disclosure, he's a huge Sonic fan. But
I think that's the reality. If you're a Sonic fan, you'll love it. If you're not, this won't do anything different than the other games have done. Any of the good games have done. It's as simple as that. It's good Sonic, but it's not different Sonic.
I like it.
You know? So,
Yeah.
so I like
Sonic.
it. But, you know. doesn't mean you will. Apparently it
No, yeah. That's pretty much all we can say, right? I like it. I don't know if you will. Yeah. Well, that'll do it, I think, for the eShop Roundup.
The eShop Roundup.
Yeehaw.
So, yeehaw, yes. Now, we are... See, this is the part in between segments now. See, we got the whole Western theme going here. And, so, after the eShop, you round up all the games, Then after a hard day's night, you have to go to the YouTube Saloon.
The YouTube Saloon.
Yes, a new segment. This is actually pretty recent. We just started doing some YouTube series, weekly series that we've been having fun with. So this is sort of where we just tell everyone what's up. And the first one is actually every Monday, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We have a mini play go up, and this week's is it a coincidence, or we've got Mutant Mud's Super Challenge?
Yes. I played through a couple levels in Super Challenge.
Had you played it before, or was it a new kind of?
Oh yeah.
Okay, I'll just check.
Yeah,
okay.
I played it. So I could stream it on my Wii U. So I did that, and then I had 100% of the game on 3DS. So.
Oh wow. Okay. So you know what's up.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Well, hold on. I'm not very good at video games, but I do love Mutant Mudds. But yeah.
Hang on, you 100%ed Mutant Mudds Super Challenge. You just said, right?
Okay. Yes, but I mean, when I say 100%, like, I mean, I got all the things. Like, I didn't. You know what?
Wow.
I went through that whole game. I didn't find one other costume ever.
Yeah, they're really tough to find. Yep.
They are. I mean, I didn't even know they were there.
Yeah, it's really hard to find.
So,
but honestly, I mean, some people can't even get through level 1. So the fact that you 100%ed it, that's, I mean, you obviously,
It's just so tight. The gameplay's so tight. So it's like, you can learn it. You can learn those physics so well. And they're so well designed.
This game is so amazing. Oh my gosh, whoever made this is, oh my gosh.
YouTube Saloon also brought to you by Atui.
Yeah.
Sponsored by Atui.
There you go. I like it.
Yeah, but it's very black and white. The game doesn't have really much of an inertia. Like, there's not much grey in the game. It's very much on or off. You're either dead or you're alive. And yeah, so it's very reliable in that way. Yeah, I mean, like with Mario, it has that grey kind of sponginess to it, which is great, and the game is designed to cater to that. Whereas Mudds is the opposite. Yeah. Like, there's none of that. There's no grey. You're walking or you're not walking. There's no slowing down. There's no acceleration. It's on or it's off. So it's a very different, very reliable.
Well,
yes, if you like it.
When you were on last time, you had we talked about Wario. Virtual Boy, and then you mentioned Gargoyle's Quest, and I had never really played through that, and since then I played through like the trilogy of that.
Oh, cool. Yeah,
and
amazing, right?
Absolutely love it, and that's really what Mutant Mudds. I feel like Mutant Mudds is Gargoyle's Quest. I mean, and that has exactly what you were just talking about. So I absolutely love those games. So
yeah, definitely. Yes. The first Gargoyle's Quest is such a
that was my favorite one.
It's so cool. It's such a nice game. Yeah, the second one, the NES one, I'm like, I've tried to get into it. It's not a bad game.
It's like a remake. It's like a remake of the first one.
It is. It's a bit weird.
I liked it.
But Demon's Crest, oh my gosh, the pixel art in that game is ridiculous.
Oh jeez.
I still need to get through that.
Like that first level.
Oh yeah, it's so good.
When you like fight the thing.
So good. But then and then the little thing that happens after that kind of thing. Yeah, so good.
Yeah.
Such a great game. Yeah.
Yep.
And hard. Oh my god, so hard. But that was Capcom. Oh my god, just rocking it. I mean, the pixel art, the audio, on all cylinders. That game is ridiculous, and no one knows about that game. It's just such a hidden gem. It's so weird.
Yep. That's why it's great on the 3DS.
It is.
On the Virtual Console.
It is.
It looks so nice.
I was so surprised that came to the 3DS. I was like, yes, such a good game.
Yep. I remember I was going to purchase it on the Wii U like the week before, and then I didn't. And I was like, oh, thank God. So I bought on the 3DS, and I still haven't gotten there.
So good. Oh.
Yeah, it's on my...
But it's worth getting, though. It's really great.
My
Pixel
list of
art is
shame.
Ridiculous.
I went through this big Capcom hit where of games I just never really played. I've never been a Mega Man fan.
Yeah.
Really. I like them, but for some reason not a lot. But I played through Bionic Commando
like 8 times.
And the second one. Yeah, it's just one of those games where it's like I got through it and I'm like, I'm gonna play through this game right now again because it was so fun.
Yeah.
Like, those are my favorite games.
So which ones?
Anyway.
Which one specifically?
Bionic Commando.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Then it's funny. I played the second one, the Game Boy Color one. That was. It was like.
It's different, yeah.
I played that one. It is different, and I like the first one better for Game Boy. These are the Game Boy games. I still have yet to play the NES version.
Yeah.
I'd love to play that, and then there's like the weird. Then I found out they make those like They made like a remake for like Xbox 360. And then there's an actual brand new Bionic Commando that's like a third-person game.
Yeah, that one's
looks
crazy. It's a good game, but it's weird. It's good, but it's not Bionic Commando. I don't know why they bothered
that's not
calling
what
yeah.
It seems like it doesn't have what I liked about Bionic Commando, right?
But yeah, that Capcom stuff is ridiculous. I mean, I still love going back
Capcom,
to Mickey Mouse Magical Quest. I don't know. It's just something so I mean, no pun intended, but it's something so magical about what they did there. Just the audio, the pixel art, the gameplay, and for them at that time, that was their license game. Like that was their version of crapping out a license game. And it was it was a piece of art. It was like, wow, they did the same thing with Aladdin. I mean, it's just like, oh my gosh, guys. I mean, the stuff they did, it was just, they were a machine. And
that's why I've talked like, why don't they do it now?
Well, they've lost their way, clearly.
Yeah.
Clearly. The same people that work there then do not work there anymore. I think it's as simple as that. Those people have moved on. Yeah, unfortunately. Because it's all about the people,
There's just such a thirst for it, yeah.
Yeah, those games are just a time capsule. I just love it. And obviously,
and you got people...
Mickey Mouse was definitely an inspiration for Chicken Wiggle in many, many ways as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say you got people making like Shovel Knights and then like Cursed Castilla.
Yeah, that was nice, right?
The game's awesome.
Yeah,
very very Capcom like.
Castlevania, right?
Neo. I think we should brand it Neo Capcom.
Yeah, yeah.
There you go. But anyway, we're still at the YouTube Saloon. Remember?
Oh yes, sorry.
We got one more thing to talk about.
We never discourage good talk.
So how did your mini play go with Super Challenge?
Oh, you just got to check it out.
Oh, well, you're right. I do. I do need to check it out. You're absolutely right.
Yep, check it out.
Good call.
Yeah.
And you should too.
It went well.
Yep. Yeah. That's right.
He died 85 times in the first level, but.
No, that was like a legitimate. I'm like I was like, okay, I'm gonna play Super Challenge. Like, oh crap. This game's freaking hard.
It's so hard. It's ridiculous.
What if I suck?
I better do some practice runs before we start recording.
Yeah, I didn't do that, though. I felt good about myself. Anyway, we got to get to this next part. I've been trying for like 10 minutes. The Talk Nintendo Challenge. See, that's our other show that we have on Wednesdays. And this is a 1-versus-1 game with me and Casey where we do something, anything. Like the first time we did arms, hoops, first one to 20. The second one we did was Goner, right?
Yep, Goner. Then it was
Goner. We did a run of Goner. That was a big mistake on my part because Casey's like a world champion Goner player. And then last week we did Splatoon. Actually, a 1-versus-1 Splatoon private match. Where
Rainmaker.
Interesting.
And it actually is really fun, and the strategy's different. You have to check that out. It's pretty fresh. I won't spoil that one. And then we were... I don't know if Casey, if you don't mind.
Yeah, we could. Yeah, it's all my fault.
No, it's not. Casey moved to a new apartment, and he can't hook his Wii U up to the internet.
Yeah, my Wii U and my 3DS, which stinks because I haven't really been able to upload or download. I connected to Wi-Fi at my parents' house, so I did get to download a bunch of Chicken Wiggle games. But yeah, we were going to do a Mutant Mud Super Challenge. We were going to pick at random two or three levels, depending, best 2 out of 3. And we're going to pick random levels and just see who could get all of the water sprites and finish the level first. Best
Awesome.
2 out of 3. So
that's fun. That's cool.
But it worked out fine because I just had a no-duh type thing today. It's like, we'll do that when Mutant Mudds comes out on Switch. Duh.
Yeah.
There we go.
You know, it just makes so much sense. So look forward to that in the future. But this week we did another Splatoon run, because that's how we roll. Because
I need to wait for my
the only game we
I need
play.
to wait for my
So
Wii
good.
LAN adapter to come in so I could play Smash and stuff online.
Yeah. Yep. Anyway, thank you for coming to
The YouTube Saloon.
Thanks for having us in.
yeah.
Like what you've done with the place.
Anyway, so we are going to go into some news.
News Talk with Casey Gibson.
Yes. We are going to get right into some news now. We don't have a ton of stuff here, and we should probably try and get through this somewhat quick because
Yeah, let's go because we're going.
Yeah, it's going to be a hefty episode here, and we don't want to keep Jools all night. Now, first bit of news that came out the other day, Disgaea 5 has sold over 100,000 copies for the Switch, which I think is pretty darn good for a port of probably a year or 2-year-old game at this point, and Disgaea isn't exactly, mainstream RPG, so it's good to see that, these niche games...
Full price.
Yeah, these niche games are finding a home as well on the Switch.
For sure. That is good. Let's move on.
Yes. This one came on Twitter. Molly Carroll, who works for Chucklefish, she tweeted out that they were testing Stardew Valley on the Switch, and then she ended up actually tweeting a little bit later, massive spoilers, Stardew Valley is good, I'm assuming that means very good, on the Switch as it turns out. So hopefully that means, things are going well, and we can hopefully see that game come out pretty soon. I know a lot of people are really looking forward to that. I'm interested to. I haven't played like a Harvest Moon type game in a very, very long time, so I'd definitely be interested in checking that out.
I've never played one. Closest I've played is Animal Crossing, which is saying something. But yeah. Now, next up, there's an ARMS update. Now this is coming out, right? This
is not out yet. Yeah.
But a new candy-themed stage announced on Twitter, and a possible taffy armed fighter, which that makes so much sense.
Yeah, that was sort of speculation from that image that people were throwing around. It would be pretty cool to have like a fighter with weird old taffy arms,
Yeah.
To go on a segue here, if you don't mind. I know we don't have time, but whatever.
You? A segue?
I know, right? What am I talking about? It's weird, right? Because ARMS came out. It was like, yeah, this is great, cool, super fun, and then boom, Splatoon comes out and completely overshadows it. And now ARMS is kind of like almost off the radar. Don't you feel? Like Splatoon has completely just bamboozled its way, and it's an amazing game. And ARMS isn't Splatoon. It's a good game, but it's not a Splatoon. It's not as robust as Splatoon is. So I think ARMS needed more help. It needed more limelight to kind of really get it out there and get the love that it really deserves. And I think Splatoon came along and went, nah.
Well, I
don't think so.
Not,
the timing seemed a bit off to me.
I don't know if you've how much you look at sales numbers for other games and stuff, but Splatoon's actually, ARMS has actually sold over 1 million copies.
Wow.
So
that's awesome.
So even though, like you said, I know right now, obviously Splatoon is the game.
Is all the business, is all the hotness.
ARMS still did very well. It's actually a game I totally like. We need to get back. Did you pick it up, Jools?
Okay.
Oh yeah, I have it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a game I know I want to really get back into.
It's so good.
I very quickly kind of fell for it. Yeah, I was like, yeah, this is really nice. I mean, the artwork is ridiculous. It's basically Nintendo's Overwatch, right? I mean, the characters are beautiful.
Yeah.
They look so good, so much style. I mean, it's like, wow, this is great.
Every character. Yeah. You love every
incredible.
character.
I was kind of partial to Min. I thought she was really cool. I liked also, I can't think of her name, and the yellow robot.
Mechanica.
Yeah.
That's what my wife
those two are really cool characters. I haven't played it for a while, though. I've just been doing Splatoon 2.
We should play
all
it
day
sometime.
long. Yeah, we probably should, man. I would get owned, though, because I need to get back and...
Yeah, we're probably all a little rusty.
That's the end of my tangent there. I just wanted to kind of talk about that.
No, and that's a good... And I know it just had an update with a lot of balances and they did some really cool things that I didn't realize that to the just kind of the user experience. This is really cool. So I'm excited. I played it through, and it was one of those things where this last weekend I was showing my buddy, and he got it so fast, and he was so good, and we could actually play. Now, I had been playing since it came out, and he was playing it and beating me.
Oh, that's cool.
It was awesome. Yeah, and I was like, this is really encouraging. I love this, and so.
Like I said,
anyway.
I would never have thought ARMS to be a system seller, but my sister is very much considering buying a Switch, and it's because she loves playing ARMS so much.
Oh, well, that's good. Good. So it's getting the love. I'm just not aware of it. It's getting the love.
That's my wife's favorite game. Like ARMS.
Right.
It's crazy. Totally captured her.
Very interesting. Nice. And does she like to use it with the motion controls or the buttons?
Nope, buttons.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Very good.
She's good. She's freaking good. She beats me.
Very good.
So,
That's awesome.
Yeah. I didn't mean to cut you off, Case.
No, I was just gonna say with if they continue to release new characters and stuff, like that will definitely get me, maybe not to jump back in and play for weeks on end, but if a new character comes out on a Thursday or Friday, I'm probably gonna play it for a good chunk of that following weekend, to get people back
definitely.
in.
Well, remember at the end of the Wii U era, Case, we would play online and we'd play Splatoon, and we'd play Smash, but we were always wanting more games to play, right? And so it'll just be one of those rotation games where, okay, let's play some ARMS,
totally.
and it will come a day like that. Yes, we're in the Splatoon 2 high right now, and I will be, in that for a long, like the end of the Switches
forever.
Such a good
like
game.
I will.
So
be.
the day
I love
I
that
die.
game so much.
Yeah, it's streamlined.
No, I will.
Yeah.
I'm still on the Splatoon high, the first one. So, yeah. Next up, though, we have Nintendo is going to have a panel at PAX West 2017.
Do you know who's on it?
No, it gave no information aside from that it's an hour panel on September 2nd, which is a Saturday from 10 to 11.
Interesting. I wonder if that will be like kind of a Treehouse Live type of thing, like that, like those guys, or will it be a promotional, like check out a presentation of a new game? Like panels are usually like a discussion.
I bet it'll be Odyssey.
It could be, yeah. I mean, I guess what's that, like a month and a half before Odyssey, or closer to 2 months, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, a reveal would be awesome, but like I said, probably not. But
fascinating. That'd be cool to see. Wonder if they'll be streaming it. Hopefully, someone at least to be recorded or whatever.
Right.
Cool.
Now, this next one is an interesting little news bit. Casey, why don't you explain what's going on here?
With the Apollo Justice, or you skipped one, didn't
I
you?
missed over that.
Jules, you want to take the that one?
Yeah.
Apollo Justice is coming to the 3DS this November. I don't know what that is.
That's the Phoenix Wright 4.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I believe it was the last game in one of the trilogies, like, to be released in America.
So it's like an enhanced port?
I think, or you know how they released the original trilogy on the 3DS? In 3D and stuff, that enhanced port, I think it's the same thing, but with Apollo Justice. So then you can play like all of them on the 3DS now.
Nice. I started to get into that, but I don't know. I kind of lost it. I felt like I was really boxed in as far as if I kind of had a light bulb go off and like, how about this? You couldn't kind of jump ahead to that. You had to just play it.
Yeah, you had to go through the steps.
Yeah,
and that kind of upset me. And I'm like, no, I can't really be an investigator here. I'm kind of just playing a script. And I'm like, I'm out. See,
for me, I guess I'm dumb. I was always like, I can't find the freaking clue,
You
guys are like solving
just
it in 2
occasionally I
seconds.
wanted to go ahead and it wouldn't let me, and that kind of bothered me.
Casey, that's definitely.
Meanwhile, I'm like, where's the hint button, damn it?
Yeah. I'm using all my.
I've run out of hints. How can that be?
Yeah.
Yep, good old game FAQs. So the next bit of news here is a little, I guess, financial troubles for the Japanese or Japan Display Inc., which is where Nintendo gets their screens, their supplier for the Switch screens. they actually reported like a net loss of almost $300 million in U.S. dollars for the financial quarter ending in June. Now, this is also the company that supplies like your iPhone screens as well. So, yeah, it's interesting that they're, reporting losses when it seems like business must be booming. You'd imagine at least like iPhones would probably be, how many in the world are there? I couldn't even fathom a number.
I'm using 3 of them right now.
Exactly. That's
so
odd.
it seems strange. I guess they're the sole supplier for Nintendo, but according to reports, I guess the deal was only for like $10 million with possibly up to $18 million with production increases. So if you think about it, that's a very, very small number compared to like what Apple's going to be working.
Billion.
So and
someone can take over that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I ultimately hope it doesn't. I hope they fix whatever has to be fixed because the screens look so good, and I'm sure Nintendo could find, another company that would be comparable. But I don't know, those screens like we were talking before look so good. I would hate. I would hate for them to take a downgrade.
How could they have a $300 million loss? That's crazy.
I don't get that. It's like that. Yeah. Like how could there be a loss?
Yeah, I mean. And like you said, the Switch has been selling so well, and they're ramping up productions. It's like that's going to be more money for you, but I don't know what goes in.
It's probably a fraction of their business, though. I mean, if they do iPhones and Androids or whatever they do, I mean, that's in the tens of millions of units. You would think that would be their bread and butter. So how could they be in the red or whatever? Yeah, that's weird. Yeah. Whatever.
Interesting. But yeah, well, I'm sure it'll play out fine.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it won't affect actually anything that we have to worry about.
Well, we've already got our Switches with the good screens, so...
That's true, we already have it.
So yeah, God forbid something goes wrong.
We don't have the slim, no LED. Yes, exactly.
Now, I figured we'd end on a fun little fact here that I saw since it was a light news week. As of just the other day, the GameCube's launch was closer to the NES launch than it is to today.
That's silliness.
So we're getting old.
Crazy.
That's amazing, isn't it?
I remember getting the GameCube for Christmas, man. Woo! That was the best.
What a cool little machine that. I love that they made it a cube. I mean, that was really neat.
It's the handle, the game changer.
In light of what everyone else is doing, It's just such
brave.
Great.
Seriously,
and the controller was really nice. Great little machine.
Oh, best controller.
I loved.
Besides the D-pad.
Brain fart. The hell is it called? The Mario game.
Sunshine?
Thank you. My gosh, I loved Sunshine and Wind Waker. They were my 2 main games on that machine.
And Metroid Prime. Those 3 games are just...
Oh man, no, and even Double Dash was so good.
Double Dash.
So many good games.
Mario Party 4.
And it had weird creative things like oh my gosh, brain fart again. The Capcom Willy, it's a
Beautiful Joe.
No, it was a Capcom game, and it had an egg as part of the logo.
Billy Hatcher.
Hatcher, thank you, Billy Hatcher. That was GameCube, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
not a great game, but it was a nice looking game.
You also had like Resident Evil 4, arguably one of the greatest games of all time.
That was amazing. Yes, that game is so good.
I need to replay that one.
That was a milestone. That was good. That camera was unique. That was that was before Gears of War. It was before all of that. That was I think the first.
Yeah, that was the game changer.
Overhead third-person pseudo first-person camera, and it was like, what? This works. This is amazing.
Yes.
Good. Yeah, home
so
run.
good. That
home
game,
run.
and such a good game. That was a brilliant game. I really enjoyed that. Yeah, GameCube was good stuff. Good stuff.
Yep. Well
then.
Before we keep going off on tangents, let's take a break and finally get to what we're here to talk about.
Yeah, the real show. Let the real show begin.
The chicken wiggle.
And we are back, and it is time for the main event. That is right. We are going to get knee-deep in some chicken wiggle.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yes. Good old Chicken Wiggle.
Chicken Wiggle.
There you go.
Oh, look out. There we go. There's that. That's good stuff right there.
Yeah. It is.
Music turned out great. I love the music. Matthew Gambrell, code wizard, actually took on the task of doing music this time, and I think he really outdid himself.
Unbelievable, man.
Really,
so
seriously.
Good. Now,
he's good.
Who is the guy that has done all the others, or most of them?
Troop Gamage. He did the music for the Muds games.
I mean, that's just, and he did Bomb Monkey. Did he do that?
He did Bomb Monkey. Yep. Mm-hmm.
That is one of my favorite songs ever, and I know that I'm just gushing in front of you, but that Bomb Monkey track.
Yeah, he did a good job. It's great, right?
That thing.
Yeah, he did a good job.
Oh my goodness.
He's amazing, and he wrote a lot of the Mud stuff. So he's in a band. He's a young guy, very talented, does singing, guitar, the whole shebang. And they tour around. They're not like a huge, famous, crazy rock band, but they tour and do shows and stuff, do gigs. I mean, but they're good. I mean, they definitely, they do some good stuff. But a lot of the music he made is in the back of the tour van, because they're not rich or anything. They just get this van, they all bundle in it, and they'll drive across country to go from gig to gig to gig. So a lot of the music that he wrote was in his little laptop in the back of the van as they were traveling around, kind of stuff, which is really just neat to think. That's, he was making this magical music, in this kind of really lo-fi environment. It's really neat, really fun.
Oh yeah,
love it.
Yes,
he's a good guy. He's very talented.
Yeah, and he didn't do it on, it's kind of cool because you kind of get a fresh take on Chicken Wiggle.
Mm-hmm.
It
very
does
different.
sound a lot different.
Yeah, like Matthew, who did the music for Chicken Wiggle, is a really good friend of Troop's. They've known each other for years, and that's how I was introduced to Troop to do the music for Muds.
Okay, cool.
So they've known each other forever. So they're big chiptune, nerds, and they're really into it. So this was, and Matthew's always been very knowledgeable and really involved in the process. We were trying to figure out how to do music for Chicken Wiggle, and he said, he hopefully would find some time to do some stuff. And I was like, well, maybe I can do some stuff. I've done a little bit of music. I'm not great at chiptune, but I could probably pull something off. So he ended up doing some stuff, and he's doing stuff that I couldn't do anything like that. And he way exceeded, just like Troop did for Muds. Matthew totally exceeded my expectations of what would be in the game, and it was like, dude, wow, nicely done. Nicely done.
Oh, yeah, I really enjoyed the music, especially when you die, the little throwback.
Yeah,
that's
totally.
The throwback,
yeah,
right?
it's fun. You totally. Yeah, totally.
Oh, it's almost like a reward for losing, though.
Right? Little kind of Easter egg in there. And the fun part was, each world or each level theme, in the level editor, has its own unique flavor, its own unique music. So it was really an opportune moment for him to kind of go off and write this stuff and fit it to the different themes, and it really helps each theme feel very different from the other. And my only the hard thing was, well, how do we tie that together so it isn't just a bunch of hodgepodge? And obviously, and hope you agree, he definitely nailed it. I mean, he pulled off an amazing tune. The title tune is, I love it. It's my favorite. I love the title tune. And then we use that same kind of feeling for when you complete a level. So it kind of bookends a level. You'll have the title tune music, which also plays on the level select screen, and then you go into the level and it'll play the unique tune that's unique to that theme. But then when you beat the level and you get the excellent thing, it plays back that same kind of vibe as the title music, and then brings you back to the level selecting it. So it kind of bookends the experience. So there's a sense of consistency with unique things in between. So it worked out amazing.
No, it works.
He did such a good job.
It does.
And not only just the music, but the sound design in general,
effects,
because
he
one
did all
of
that as
the
well.
most satisfying things for me was when you hit that cage to open it, to end the level.
Yeah, totally.
Oh my god.
That was perfect, yeah.
It is. Yeah, and the sound effects and the little ditty it plays, and yeah.
Sound effects are so important.
He outdid himself. He did an amazing job, and it's just like Muds, and thankfully the same with Chicken Wiggle. It's a case where the music elevates the whole experience because of it being there. When you play it silent, it's fine, but as soon as you hear the audio, you're like, oh yeah, good stuff.
Brings it all together.
It really does. It improves the whole thing. So
now,
anyway,
another thing that completely improves it, and last time you were on the show, we talked about this, and at that time, you were not planning on having stereoscopic 3D in it.
That's correct.
And I was like, oh, no. You know, I mean, I just, like, that is my favorite thing. And it's like, this game looks like it'd be perfect. Now, of course, it's also a creator game. So, you know, how are you going to do that? I think you implemented it very well, where it's just, you know, everything's kind of on, I mean, it's super 3D. Yeah. But obviously, you're not editing different layers. You're not doing mutant mud stuff, which would be really sweet. Obviously,
no. I mean, that's
super complicated.
There's 1, 2, 3. There's 4 distinct stereoscopic layers, at least, if not maybe more. But there's definitely 4 main ones anyway. There's the foreground clouds that flow by, which are at the bottom of the level, which I love, and they'll have a few little wispy clouds that are throughout the whole level, which I love. They always seem to come at the right time, and I'm like, yes. And then there's the layer you're standing on, which is the next layer. Then there's the layer slightly behind you, which is another layer of depth. Then, of course, there's the background, in the way background. So, so that sense. And then there's a little bit in between, depending on, you know, when you knock his helmet off or do little kind of, or when you collect the gems. There are some that kind of go in between those layers with little effects in stereoscopic 3D. Me too. I'm a sucker for that. That 3D stereoscopic effect is ridiculous. It looks so good. So I love that.
Oh yeah, it's
when we can actually take advantage of that. It's magic. It's like, wow, that looks so good. It's just amazing. It's crazy. The stereo 3D works so well.
And Casey was talking about how satisfying the
cage plunk.
The cage plunk. I think the other thing on visual side is when you collect the loot. You know, that little animation of it coming up and you know, just the sounds and and I just love, you know, and I've talked with Casey and you know, he's the one that said this. He's just like, you know, other games, you know, we play and, you know, like we start to do the 100%, like you want 100% it and you start it and then you just kind of get, you know, like
fed up with
it. Fed up. But there's for some reason with Muds and Chicken Wiggle, it's just, you know, there's something that's satisfying about it.
Awesome.
And nice about
I won't really pass a level unless if I get all of the sprites and with Chicken Wiggle, like going for fun. For those who don't know, I mean, sort of similar to Muds, they have like do they have a particular name in this game? To be honest, like I know water sprites in Muds.
The little things you collect in Chicken Wiggle, you mean?
Yeah, like the 100.
Gems. They're just like shiny.
So you'll collect 100 gems per level, but there are also the word fun, so F, U, and N are hidden throughout the level, and those are definitely more challenging to find. You know, you got to keep your eyes open and sort of feel around. You got to feel around on edges where, you know, false edges might be, and I don't know what it is, but with your games, it's just like it pulls me in so much. I'm like, I can't keep pushing on. You know, I need to get this before I wrap up here.
Right. Awesome, good. Awesome. I try to place them in such a way where, because I think the problem with things like Donkey Kong on the N64, where that became just a collectathon. You know, like after Banjo was decent, that worked, that was fine, collecting stuff, and that wasn't too bad. But then when Donkey Kong 64 came along, it was like, oh, come on, guys, you pushed it way too far. Now collecting is just is a job. It feels like work. You know, this isn't fun anymore. That's my opinion of it anyway. So what I try to do with our stuff is put it so it's never too far off the beaten path. So it's like, yeah, I'll get that. Rather than, okay, I'll go and get them, I guess. Which is what it feels like in some games where you're like, this is kind of a chore. So I try to make it as close to the main thread of the level as possible, so it's not too. I mean, there's a few exceptions to that for sure, but generally speaking, so it's not too annoying to get them all.
But I think that's why it works so well is when, you know, a lot of them are just sort of like you said, not too far off, but when you do get that one where you can't find it, it makes it even more sadigh.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, okay,
like,
I need to.
Usually they're easy to get. Why did they get to the end of this level with only 20? What the heck? Where's the other 80? And there's one level specifically in Chicken Wiggle like that where there was specifically the majority of them are hidden.
I think I just played that one.
And you get to the end, you're like, literally have like 20 or maybe 40. And you're like, really? I actually played that, and I got to the end of it forgetting that it was like that. And I'm like, oh, that's right. They're all hidden throughout. Darn it. I have to play this again. Yeah, that's fun.
Now, I think one of the cool, I mean, this is kind of switching a little, but I mean, going with the talking about your design, of the levels, I think, something that's really cool about this Chicken Wiggle, and is obviously the creator studio. That's the biggest draw, I think, for me. Mm-hmm. The idea of all the levels you made, all the official levels are made in the editor. So mm-hmm. while how it was for me is I'd play and it's just like, oh my goodness, like you can do that, that's what I'm going through and playing the official levels, and it's like, oh, and I just get inspired and okay, I have to go make levels right now. And then as you're playing the game, you're like it's just really weird. It's like I feel like I'm one of the developers of this game. Mm. I feel like I'm creating this. Like I'm seeing how he did it. Mm-hmm. I'm seeing how it was made, and then using that. And that's just really, for me, like I don't really have awesome. I don't have that perspective on games normally. I mean, for sure, like Super Mario Maker. Mm-hmm. I guess kind of is very similar, but I just think it's kind of a cool concept of the creation.
Right. I think what might create a stronger connection with this particular game is because it is what it is, literally. Like with Mario, with Mario Maker, you can't make every level that's been in every Mario game in Mario Maker. It's just impossible. Right. You can't do that. Right. It's not made that way. It has some constraints and has some limitations, and it has some things you can do that you can't do in other regular games. It kind of does both. But it's not as black and white as the games in Super Mario World and etc. were made with this. It just isn't the case. So it's not one-to-one. Whereas with this, it is. So there's that literal direct connection with, oh, wow, this game was literally made with the editor that I can use too. Like, literally. So if he made it, I can make it. Like, literally, Like, there's no gray, there's no, but caveat. No, literally, you can make this too. There's no reason you can't emulate this perfectly.
And one of the cool things that I think that, that as you're going through, and I think was a very apparent and obvious decision, seems to me, was there's no tutorials for anything.
Yeah.
Everything is organic.
You have to experiment.
And all in experiment and experience. Mm-hmm. I like with the enemies, I'm thinking like, well, what's the difference between this, and
what does this do?
This and and then like, and we've talked the last time you were on the show, like you were talking about, that classic setup of designing levels, of how you show, you show someone with the net underneath them, and then then you show it with an obstacle, and then it's it gradually gets harder, teaches them mm-hmm. naturally.
Introduce the danger eventually, yeah.
Yeah, and that's just really prevalent in this game, and it's so nice because, like I said, it's this unique relationship with the game now, where this is a creator game showing you how to design levels, how to have fun, what you can do with them, and that's just not usually like when you're playing. Like Donkey Kong Country, that's not what you're thinking, right? I mean, right. It's a unique viewpoint now, or at least that's my experience I had with him now.
And that's awesome. I'd love to hear that. Hopefully that's everyone's experience. That'd be amazing if they are thinking. I think some people don't want to create, right? They're like, no, that's not my thing. I just want to play the game.
Well, I think that's cool. Casey. I think Casey's kind of on the opposite. Not completely. Like, he still creates stuff. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, no, right? Definitely. Like, for me, the majority of my experience with Chicken Wiggle has been playing the levels you made, right. the campaign, if you will. Mm-hmm. And to me, those are just so satisfying, and I'm having a great time. Like you said, I've jumped into the creator, mm-hmm. and I've messed around. I've done a couple levels, like nothing complete and to the point where I'd want to upload it or anything. I'd still have some polishing to do, but
right.
But like, it's so easy. You know what I mean? Good. It's so intuitive to just get in there and like, okay, like I've got my drop down menu at the top. Like, let me click on this. Okay, this gives me these options, and I could do this and that. And it was so easy to get in there. And for anyone that, I guess like Mario Maker is pretty easy to jump in, but I know like there's so many things, and like they would only introduce certain things at certain, after you played a certain bit.
Right, things
like this,
unlocked,
you got everything right there,
mm-hmm.
and it's just get in there and you start playing, start messing around.
Yeah, I think different people are going to approach it differently. Yeah, we did consider, should we unlock things, should we do a tutorial. I mean, we didn't consider it for very long, but we at least wanted to consider it just to make sure we were making the right decision. But we're very quickly like, no, we want, because that's part of the creative process, is experimentation and making mistakes and going, oh, okay. I mean, that's game design. That's creative. Well, not just game design. That's just creativity, is messing with stuff and seeing what happens. So we wanted to encourage that rather than spoon feed you, which I think can lead you to a point of, how did I get here? What do I do? I don't even know what I'm doing, because I've been directed this whole way. I don't even know what the hell I'm doing. You know, it's nice to go in there and go, nope, have at it, good luck. And I mean, it's a risk, because some people will be like, wow, that's way too intimidating. I'm not even going to touch this. But we tried to soften that with making the interface playful and fun and interactive and simple. Like you said, at the top you have this stuff, the ingredients, and you click on it, and then you tap on the map and you put it there, and there you go. You know, and it's pretty simple, and then you just hit play and you can play it and check it out. So hopefully we try to combat that, but we wanted to make it so really it's for level designers. It's for people who want to be a level designer, but also try to make it not as ugly as real tools. The actual tools we really make to make games, which are not user-friendly at all. They're just designed for us. They don't have to be user-friendly because they're made for us. You know, so we know what that stupid button does, even though no one else will, and there's no manual for it. You just have to know it.
Right.
We obviously couldn't make that. You know, but
right. So when you're making
Nintendo
Mutant
fans,
Muds. When you're making Mutant Muds, you don't have
we don't
have the same
no,
thing,
we don't
right?
have this editor. No, we don't. No,
That'd be
it's
amazing.
not half as good. Yeah, no,
No,
it was a unique experience. It was really fun. Well, just to make an editor is like, okay, well, we've never done that before, so let's make an actual commercial editor. All right, let's give that a shot.
So that was the plan with Chicken Wiggle from the get-go.
Right,
was like, right?
Yeah,
that was
the game was
this is going to be a creator, and then the
Exactly.
levels, came afterward.
Yeah, the idea. I actually wrote a blog kind of article about this on Gamasutra and posted it today, which was a good prep for me to coming on here to kind of get my thoughts in order. Was the way it started was I kind of did an image of a player package. You know, it basically shows a little character and just how high they can jump and how far they can jump, and they had the little grappling hook and how far would that take them across a gap or up a shaft and stuff like that. And it's actually the little Zeo Drifter guy, because I didn't know what the game was going to be yet, so I just took him because he was nice and square and tiny. And that was the first thing I created, was like an idea for a player package, like really limited jump height and a really limited attack range, then combined with the ability to use a hook shot that would pull you across long distances or up to high platforms. So you had to rely on this ability. So there's a nice kind of balance between the two. So that was the beginning. Like, oh, this player package is fun. That's different. That's interesting. It's solid. And the original idea was to do essentially a 2D push mode. It'd be like push mode where you could just paint pretty pictures. And now as a side-scrolling platform game, now you can like navigate it by using a little hook shot or destroying blocks and stuff like that, and get to the goal and you're done. And that was it. It was supposed to be a really quick, just get this done in a few months kind of game. Let's use QR codes just like push modes, make this really, really simple. That was the original idea. But really quickly we were like, nah, let's spend 16 months doing it instead and add all this crazy crap to it and make it absolutely insane. That's where it ended up, which I'm happy it did. But yeah.
So I don't know, I mean, coming from, you're looking at your past, like Zeo Drifter, Mutant Muds, all that. I mean, it's just so ambitious. It's like, okay, well, here's another game, but also a creator studio with it.
Yeah.
Now that's how I'm looking at it.
It takes a dose of crazy to take on something like that. It really does. And both me and Matthew have a healthy dose of that, where we're like, yeah, let's do it. We like challenge, and it was a fun challenge to take on.
Well,
when you decided that it was going to be, like, you were expanding the scope, did you have any idea, like, okay, this is going to take 16 months? Or did you think, this might be a little bit more time, but we could do it,
exactly.
And then that just sort of snowballed?
It really did snowball. I mean, and at different times it snowballed for different reasons, which is really interesting. Initially we were like, no, this game is too simple. Let's push it a little bit further beyond the. Well, actually, it started off with the technical side of QR codes versus online. What is the difference as far as time and complexity? Can we pull off online? Because from a designer's perspective, I was like, let's just do QR codes because I know it's simple. I know it's easier. from a technical perspective. I'm not even going to bother saying, Matthew, hey, let's do online level sharing. That's crazy talk. So let's just start with QR codes because it keeps it nice and simple. There's no network code to worry about. There's no Nintendo servers to worry about. It's just a QR code. Great. It limits the game because the game data has to fit on a crappy little QR code, but that's okay. We can do that. So that's where it started. And then when Matthew's like, no, we can do online, I'm like, what? Suddenly the levels now can get 100 times more complicated. So they will. You know, it's kind of like, okay, if we can do online, we have bandwidth now, and now the sky's the limit. So that completely changed the scope of the game. And it was like, oh my gosh, what have we done? So I was like, all right, let's do that then. So that was the initial kind of thing, but it even at that point, it was still pretty reserved and trying to keep it nice and simple. And then the day we announced Chicken Wiggle was exciting for 3DS. Yay, very awesome. The next day was not quite as exciting because Mario Maker was announced for the 3DS. And we're like, yay, that really sucks. We thought we were going to be Mario Maker on the 3DS, but no, now there's a Mario Maker on the 3DS. I'm like, so that was a real bummer. That was a real turning point where we were like, all right, should we even bother? Should we even bother with this? Should we even continue?
But then Mario Maker came out.
Well, indeed, but at that point we hadn't played it and we didn't know anything about it. We just knew it was coming. Right. So we're still in the middle of development, and we're like, great. We're just assuming literally Mario Maker from the Wii U was coming to the 3DS, which weirdly enough that wasn't the case, but that's what we assumed, and that's under the understanding we were under. And we're like, okay, so our game is going to pale in comparison. What's the point? All we are is just different, and is that enough? How could only a fool goes up against Mario. You're not going to win. No one's ever won that battle, so why are we going to try that? And we're like, oh my god. So we definitely struggled with that for a while, because that's like, really? The same thing happened with Face Racers. Not that I'm not claiming Face Racers is some amazing game, but we were doing that. We announced that at that time Mario Kart was not coming to the 3DS, and then suddenly it was. I'm like, oh, really? Anyway, but so
has Nintendo sent you anything in the mail? Maybe they got you bugged.
Oh god, no. We're doing
taking this idea.
We're just doing obvious things, and they're just doing them better. I don't know about Sugar Wiggle. I wouldn't say that, but with Face Racers, that was certainly the case. But anyway, so that was interesting. So we wrestled with that for a while, and we're like, no, you know what? We believe in this. This is going to be a fun little game. It's different enough. It's quirky. There's a chicken and a worm. That's funny. Has the whole grapple thing going on. This is different. It's different enough where I think there's enough room in this pool for another player if we're different enough. So that really pushed us in, okay, how do we differentiate ourselves from Mario Maker? Which was good. That was good. That was a good kind of slap. Like, all right, if we are going to release on the same platform as Mario Maker, how can we be different at least? Not necessarily better, but how can we be different? So it was really nice when we heard that they didn't have online level showing. I was like, well, that's easy.
Oh, man.
We're already doing
you were
that.
Probably, you were one of the few
so
people that
awesome.
were probably elated when you heard that news.
Oh, so happy. I was like, why are they doing that? Surely that's going to come in a future update. And I actually asked someone at Nintendo, which I shouldn't name, and they're like, nope, I don't know why they've done this, and they're not going to update it. And I'm like, yes, good. And then they didn't have stereoscopic 3D. So I'm like, boom. That's another thing we have to do then, because they're not doing it.
Exactly.
So
now I have to ask you this: how come two guys did this and Nintendo didn't?
Well, Mario Maker on the 3DS is a very impressive game. It's very well done. I mean, the online thing isn't a lack of ability; it's a strange decision. I think Nintendo does things, and they have to have a specific reason for it to exist. And for some reason, they got this idea in their mind that, okay, if we've got Mario Maker on the Wii U, that's great, awesome. Why are we going to justify doing it on the 3DS? And they got this idea stuck in their mind of, well, great, we'll let multiple people work together, collaborate on a single level. That's a great idea. That could be a unique selling feature of 3DS. But why would you not do online level sharing? And I think some of that comes together with their guidelines for online level sharing and doing online and trying to protect kids and all that kind of fun stuff. So and that's a very complicated issue, and Nintendo are at the forefront of making that complicated and protecting people, and that's respectful. That's great. So I wonder if that's an element of why it's not online, to kind of keep it simple and protect people, because whatever. You know, you can sure read between the lines on what that can end up being as far as being abusive if people choose it to be abusive.
Right.
So that might be an element of it, or it might just be, let's just make this different for different sake. Anyway, either way, I was elated that it didn't do it. Yeah, it's a nerfed version for sure. Very strange.
Yeah, it just seems like you'd think they'd have those things in place for abuse, with the Wii U version, that they could have some sort of, carryover to know how to approach that. But yeah, I always I was
issue.
Like, so weird. But
but
hey, worked out
anyway.
For you.
So yeah, no, and another reason, and then. So I think once we had convinced ourselves that our game was different enough, great, there's a reason for it to exist, awesome, let's do that then. And then we just continued making stuff and coming up with new ideas, and then it made sense to let time go by, to just continue making it, to distance ourselves time-wise from that game as well. Just like that game be in the past, and then we'll continue. Obviously the Switch came along and took off really well, and how that's affected the 3DS market, I have no idea. I guess we'll find out on today on Thursday, as far as how well it sells. But it made sense to distance the game as well as far as time as well. So anyway, so that was the journey we went through as far as the scope of the game. So the end result is a game that is much bigger and grander and sophisticated and polished than it was ever intended to be, which is great. So I'm definitely very, very proud of what it is. Whether that was wise, whether it will make money or not, is a completely different question. But I'm very, very happy with the game. It's definitely achieved many of the things that I wouldn't have even dared, imagine at the beginning 16 months ago.
I was actually thinking it's probably not a bad time as far as with, we just had Pikmin and Miitopia and the release of the 2DS XL, and we have Metroid coming out, in I think a month from today. So I feel like it's enough going on with the 3DS, that like people are playing it and stuff.
Yeah. What makes me gun shy is that Mutant Mud Super Challenge did not sell well on any platform. Well, actually that's not true, but on Wii U and 3DS it didn't sell very well. And there's a lot of reasons for that, I think, but so that makes me a little bit gun shy. It's such a delicate, any market's a delicate market, but especially Nintendo market. So it really, so we'll see. I don't know what to expect. My expectations are relatively low, I think relatively tempered, but you can't help but hope for the best, So we'll see.
Well, I mean, one thing's for sure though, like, honestly, it's so ambitious and huge, and like that's what I'm saying. It's just like a big surprise to me, how well it works. I mean, you have the... And, just to let everyone know, like, it has, like, the solid frame rate. Everything works how it should.
60 frames a second.
It's just gorgeous, and it's how you'd want any game to look, that way. And I just haven't... And then, like I said, I mean, I don't know how implementing online stuff is going to work for someone. And I don't know, like, maintaining servers. I mean, sure, it's little levels, but I mean, I don't know how that's going to work, if that's going to work out okay, but it worked great for me. I mean, all systems go for me for uploading everything. And then, like, you have the ability to download levels, the people, and not play them at the same time. So that helped Casey.
Yeah,
And he's stopping at McDonald's to download Chicken Wiggle levels, getting chicken nuggets.
I know.
Well, I tell you what,
you're saying you're going to Mickey D's, and I'm like, oh wow, that's crazy. That's cool. So funny.
Yes.
Yeah.
Stupid Wi-Fi.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I actually had a question about the gameplay that I was sort of wondering. So when you throw out your grapple, right, all of the enemies freeze.
Yes.
Now I was wondering, when you were developing, did you play around with them not freezing, like be more time-based that way? Like, was that something you messed around with?
No, I mean, our plan was always, like, there was probably a time when you threw the grapple out, when you threw the worm out, nothing paused. I'm sure there was, and I'm sure that was the original implementation, was, great, the worm comes out, awesome, and that's it, and everything just moved as normal and nothing paused. But I think it became pretty quickly evident that we needed to give the player a break in that situation, so they had more power over things, so you wouldn't feel robbed and feel like there was some cheap shots, because if you imagine the game doesn't pause when like that, especially like thorny vines or really anything, any enemy, if they're still moving while you're literally tethered to an action that you've committed to that's going to take, even if it's less than a second, it's still a moment of time. You could screw yourself very easily if the game doesn't pause while you're doing that. So it just seemed like the right thing to do. Yeah, and I think it is. I think it was.
No, I think it works really well, especially when, some of my favorite moments in the game are when you're sort of going up a corridor with a bunch of enemies, or like the spiky
you feel like you're
things.
Just totally skimming
and
through
coasting
there.
through. Yep, like
you're like, oh my gosh, they're gonna get me any minute, and I made it.
Oh, those spiders, that spider level. Oh
yeah,
with the clouds.
The clouds. Oh yeah. See, it's funny. I've seen a lot of people play that level, and it's funny because I intended that level for you to not kill the spiders in that particular situation. Just run and jump. Don't even worry about them. But everyone is grappling and killing them. And I'm like, wow.
I kill everything.
Because I've actually never tried to play it that way. Because I'm like, that's crazy talk. I'm not going to try and kill them.
Oh, really?
I'm just going to run and avoid them. But amazingly, it is possible to kill them and run. And I'm like, oh my God, you poor people.
Well, yeah, that's how I had to do it. I mean, I figured out, it's like, oh, wait, if you hit them, then you can actually run through them.
Or just don't even hit them at all. You can run. If you run right at the edge of the platform, you completely can just avoid them and run right through them all. That's how I play it. That's how it's designed.
I'm a fan of...
Man, now I gotta try that.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of killing everything.
Yeah, and a lot of people are. You need to tidy up.
Yeah, like there's something satisfying about like, all right, like I'm grappled to the ceiling, I'm gonna drop down, stun someone, grapple back up to the ceiling, drop down, peck them, grapple back up to the ceiling. Oh, like it's so much fun, like to just mess around with the grapple effect in different areas where they might not necessarily, like you said, be planned, originally to be used that way.
Yeah.
I mean, it has like that kind of Bionic Commando, right? That's a big part of it. I feel like it, except for you don't do the swinging. You're just kind of like I don't know.
You lock in.
Call it. Yeah.
Yeah. Just
but
like
I do want to say. Yeah, talking about the difficulty. Yeah, like it can seem really high, and creating levels is really that's a challenge. It gets to me where it's like, man, I mean, I could make this like impossible, but I mean. And then you're creating, it's like at the end of the level, well, am I going to put this really hard thing at the very end of the level,
Right.
And then it's like, okay, well, I'll put the checkpoint. So checkpoints, that's the solution to the problem there. And it's like the biggest thing I'm doing is like, I don't want people to be annoyed while they're playing my level. Like, I want them to want to finish it. I want them to I don't want it to be easy, but I don't want them to just be mad that there's cheap level design. It's just meant to make you, barely by the skin of your teeth get by.
I mean, and it's funny because, and that was the challenge throughout development, was trying to figure out, and I talk about this in my blog, so I should mention it here as well for those that don't care about my blog, is that was the challenge, is the first thing we had to do in making the game was make the level editor, because I wanted to make sure I made the levels for the game in that level editor, so I feel the pain that the user will feel at the end. So hopefully we can actually make the editor not painful. And I also wanted to be able to say all the levels were made with the level editor, therefore you can make them too. That was really important. That was the whole point. But the hard thing was, man, we had to make the freaking level editor without making the level. It actually really sucked. It was really annoying because making a level editor is not fun. You're making an application basically. How boring is that? So but it's really difficult as well. So it was a really tough period, like making this thing, designing it, building it one brick at a time, putting it in there, but at the same time you're making the interface and the interactive and the touching and all the stuff. You're also designing the actual ingredients, the actual little tiles that you can. There's over 100 of them in the game in the end, which is amazing. You're designing those and creating those and implementing those at the same time. So the weird thing is, you have this vast period of the project, months of the project, where you're making this editor, and you can make some levels, but they're meaningless because you don't know all of the ingredients in the game yet. You certainly don't have them at your disposal even if you know what they are in your head. So you feel like you can't make anything yet until it's all done. It was really weird. Right. It really sucked. And I actually went on vacation last year over to Europe, And I actually had the editor running on my 3DS at the time, but it wasn't finished, or the ingredients wasn't done, obviously. But I was making levels while I was on vacation, which was a really interesting experience. It was just, I had to go through so many experiments and making levels, and none of them were that fulfilling. And it was like, man, I don't know, man. It was really a bizarre experience. And so but it was the moment we had the editor done, we had all the ingredients done, finally. And it was like, all right, finally, I am where the player is going to be. Like, the editor feels good, all the stuff's in there, they all work individually, they all work in combination. We know they technically work, but we actually haven't made a level that's worth anything yet, but we know everything functions. Great. Now I can finally make a level, and now it's like, God, okay, how on earth am I going to make the levels? Like, I have 100 ingredients. How do I present that to the player over the course of 48 levels? Like, what do you do? And I was like, oh my God. So it was that was the fun, that was exciting, even though it was daunting. That was like, yes, this is my job now. This is my designer job. Like, now how do I take all of these pieces and present this to the player? And that was super fun. You know, I made these really exciting and sexy tables of, here's all the devices in a column. Now I need to match them up with enemies, with hazards. You know, which things go well together. You know, so I had loads of those things written all over the place. And I was like, great, these are good. Yeah, these are good. This is good. Great. We can repeat that with that. Awesome. Nice. So this big list of all of this stuff. Not exciting. You know, just a bunch of words. And I was like, all right, cool. And then I went through them and graded what I thought those combinations could be as far as difficulty. 1 being easy, 5 being really hard. So then I did that to all of these combinations. But I knew I only needed 48, but I had way more than that, because there's way more combinations than you can do from that. And even some of the devices I didn't end up even using in the main player campaign. So they're nice surprises when you come to the elevator, so like the little warps and stuff like that. You're like, hey, what the heck is this? I haven't seen this before. So that was super fun.
Oh yeah.
So then I made that list, and then I had to figure out, okay, how am I going to present this to the player? And I actually was looking at playing lots of games, looking at lots of level design, especially the Mario games, figuring out how they use the ingredients to present to the player. And I was kind of honing in on Super Mario 3D World at the same time that I saw this amazing video recorded by Mark Brown, who does the Game Developers Toolkit, or whatever it's called, on YouTube. Really smart guy. I think he works for Pocket Gamer, I'm not sure though, but he's a UK guy. I won't hold that against him though. He had this really cool video on how he broke down Nintendo's level design process, and how going through from Mario 64 through to Mario Galaxy through to Mario 3D World, they'd come to a really concise level design process, which was these certain steps. Anyway, I thought that was really great, and I kind of reverse engineered that and kind of figured out how that would adapt to Chicken Wiggle and create my own 7 steps of what that would be. Let me pull that up real quick so I actually know what the hell I'm talking about. And that is and I use that kind of as a Bible basically for the whole game, to make each level. So step 1, for example, is introduce a new device. So let's just say it's the spring. Great. Introduce the spring in an environment where you cannot get hurt, you cannot die, so the player gets to check it out. Cool, this is a fun spring, yay, awesome. And then once you've done that, step 2 would be the next part of the level, where now you repeat that with a little bit of variety, and now with death below you, without the safety net. So you have to prove to the game and to yourself, I understand this device, I can get past it without dying. Awesome. Step 3 is, now let's introduce a new hazard. Let's just put an enemy in there. Like, the death doesn't count as a hazard kind of thing. Now let's put an enemy in there. But again, in a safe environment, so it's just you and the enemy. You get to kind of kill that guy. Awesome. Now step 4 is now repeat that original device from the beginning, the spring, with a twist. And a slightly different setup, again with a safety net, to kind of, not only prove to yourself you know what you're doing, but also kind of familiarity with a twist is always kind of a fun thing to do, and that's why we always like to watch Hollywood movies. It's that basic premise, Yep. And then boom, checkpoint. Right. So now in the middle of the level, more or less. So now you have license to get a bit crazier. So now step 5 is, let's repeat the hazard, repeat the enemy with a little extra challenge to kind of step it up a little bit. Step 6 is now, now you really get to have fun in step 6. Now you get to combine the device from the beginning with the enemy, with the hazard, without a safety net. So it's like, boom, now you really get to have fun and all throw it at the player. But at the same token, the player gets to have fun and they get to use what they've learned now from the first parts of the level and really put it into play in this step 6 of the level. And then step 7 calms down a little bit. It repeats the device from the beginning in a slightly different way with a safety net to take you to the end goal. So it'd be just a stair-step spring, boing, 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 up to the cage, boom, and rescue them. And that's it. So that's 7 steps I use religiously across the whole game on every level. After the fact, I've already figured out how things are going to use together, what level of difficulty they're going to be. So it was those 3 things all put together, like the steps, how the relationships of these things are going to go, and then what the difficulty level of them are. Once you have all of those 3 figured out and put together, boom, you can
it writes itself.
It really does. It really does. And that was my idea, was like, let's get this all planned out. Let's get all this boring stuff out of the way. So when I come to make a level, I can just have fun. I can just enjoy it, and I'm very focused. Oh, I'm making this level. It's going to be at this difficult. It's going to use these 2 things. Great. I'm not now overwhelmed with the fact there's 100 things I could use in this level. I'm focused on, I'm going to use a spring, I'm going to use a blue bat, and the difficulty is 1. Great. I know exactly what I need to do then. Or at least I can have fun experiment within that very tiny box. Anyway, so there you go. So that's how I approached the design, which was crazy different to any game I've worked on before.
When you go into making a level, do you go in and you go, I'm going to complete this level, and when I'm done with this, I'll move on to the next one? Or is it something where you'll get some ideas, you'll work it for a little bit, and you'll be like, you know what, I'm going to put this on the back burner for now, I'm going to work on something else, and then that way, maybe go back with a fresh set of eyes?
Yeah, I mean, all of the above. I mean, sometimes a level just, boom, just gets done from beginning to end seamlessly, and you're like, yes, that was awesome. Sometimes it's really painful, and it's just like pulling teeth. You're like, oh, you know it's working, it's fine, but just in the mood you're in, or the things you're working with, it's just like, and you just have to kind of chip away at it and do something else in between. So really all of the above, any and every situation. But the beautiful thing was, I made sure that we had the editor running on the 3DS development kit, which is just a 3DS basically. I can take it anywhere. So then I could make them anywhere. I can make them at my desk, I can make them on the toilet, I can make them at bed, I can make them in the car, I can just make them anywhere, and that was important because I wanted that ability and freedom to do it, just chip away at it whenever I had a moment, because I knew I had a lot of levels to make.
See, this is what's so funny is like everything you just said, I have experienced firsthand.
That's awesome.
Like you know what I mean? Like exactly what you're saying. Like I had it on the 3DS, and I was playing it on the toilet for many a leg numbing experience.
Yes, it is very leg numbing. That's hilarious.
Yes, it's like I have to finish this, and you stand up, and then like your legs.
You're like,
are
oh my god, yeah, you have to stump them down a little bit.
I've been sitting in here for 35 minutes.
Yeah.
I better get back to work.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my goodness, I should have clocked it an hour ago.
That's hilarious. That's awesome.
I was going to say, as far as the development time, did you say 16 months was the...
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, how much would you say was focused on really nailing down the creator versus how much actually was creating the levels? Like, was it, 75% the creator, and then once, you had that, it all sort of fell together relatively quickly, or...?
At the end of the day, it probably was 70-30, yeah. On the creator, 70 on the creator probably, because it just required so much. That had to be built. Not only the interface itself, but the ingredients as well, of course, had to be built before any levels can be made. Well, to be fair though, I was designing and thinking about the levels while that was being done, but just not executing on anything. But a lot of thought and a lot of design was happening, I suppose. So, maybe it's, I don't know, 65-35, but... but
67.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like my 60% on Namco.
Right, exactly. There we go. Yeah, but definitely more on the editor than the levels themselves, because, it was so important, and we didn't want to shortchange that. It really, not only because of the game itself, it needed something decent. Selfishly, I wanted to make the levels with a nice editor, you know. So I was helping myself was helping the player. You know, I wanted it to be super slick and solid, and so did Matthew. We really focused on the silly details as well as the big important details to kind of make the implementation. So it was. Yeah, it was fun. It was. I mean, there was a time when, you know, we didn't even have, you know, you could scroll around the map with the left circle pad and press the L button to open and close the menu, you know. And then when we realized, oh, we should do that, I'm like, oh my god, that makes this much easier. This is so much better to use this thing now. It was, you know, just those realizations. It was like, oh yeah, cool. And it was just doubly awesome because we knew that the player was going to benefit from these very things, which was like, man, cool. You know, it was definitely the way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, you could just definitely tell that this game was in the oven as long as it should have, and it came out when it was ready.
Yeah.
And it, you know, it doesn't feel shortchanged at all, like I was trying to mention before. Now, before we get done with Chicken Wiggle, I feel like we need to, Jools, if you could kind of pitch how you can share, how you can download everything. It's really cool.
Yeah. So I think it's fairly quick, simple, and seamless. We try to make it so, and I think it is. The way it works is that when you make a level, I mean, even if you don't want to make a level, and that's fine, but if you did make a level, the simple rule is you have to complete your own level before you're allowed to share it. So if you have any gems, any pickups in the game, you have to make sure you can, or if the game rules are kill all the enemies or whatever, you have to make sure you can achieve that objective. And then once you've done that, then you have the option to share it. And then you simply go, boom, share, and literally it's uploaded. And there you go, you're done. So then, but if you're not interested in making stuff, or if you want to check out your own level or someone else's level, you simply click on the main menu share button, which takes you to the online portal. That was another aspect that was heavily designed as well. And that was another thing where we wanted to differentiate ourselves from Mario Maker, as far as making
I think it's the biggest thing.
Yeah, making it really flexible, very easy to browse and find, and
common sense, like
exactly. It really is kind of common sense stuff that for some reason Nintendo doesn't want to do a lot of times, which is kind of odd. But
they certainly lack common sense sometimes.
we wanted to kind of be a little bit more scrappy as far as like, well, yeah, if this was a PC game, what would it have? You know, it would let you sort the levels in a way you wanted to sort it. You would have search tags on the levels. You'd be able to type stuff in. You know, it would just be very open. You know, it would be very flexible. And we're like, well, we can do that. There's no reason we can't. And Nintendo's not going to say we can't. You know, they have their guidelines, and this doesn't break any of those guidelines. So, cool, let's do that then. Yeah, I mean, the nice thing is once you're on the online portal, you're immediately greeted with the most popular levels, and that was something actually we debated. Well, I didn't debate. Matthew debated. Matthew didn't like that idea, but I thought that was the way to go because people want to be famous. People are vain. People want their level to be in the highlight. So I thought landing on the most popular level every time is perfect because the person who covets that spot will feel really special, and everyone who's not on that spot will want to be on that spot. That's my thinking anyway. So I think it's important to land on that popular list because let's face it, the life is about popularity, whether you like it or not. So I thought that was nice. That was a nice microcosm of our society right there, just to get deep for a second. But I thought that was nice to have that there because that's what puts value in that list. If the popular list wasn't the first thing you saw, then the popular list is meaningless. No one's going to look at it. Who cares? But the fact that that's the first thing you land on gives it value. Anyway, so...
But you can also search
yes, but I thought that was the most important thing to land on. But the nice thing is you can press the X button, or you can just tap the little button at the top there, and then you have a wealth of categories to choose from latest levels, your own levels you favorited, a TUI official levels, a TUI's favorite levels, which happens to be a certain Perry's level right now. And actually, Perry's level was the first TUI favorited level in history. And it wasn't. It was purely based on, oh, Perry's made a level, let me check it out. Damn, that was good. Oh my god, that was impressive. This is totally worthy of being a TUI favorite level. I mean, legit. I mean, it was as simple as that. I was like, because if the level wasn't, I'd have been like, oh, good job, man, that's a good level. No way it's going to be a favorite level, but a good level. But it was like, dude, this is totally worthy of that. I was like, well impressed. And all of your levels,
I'm like sitting over here, like,
all of your levels are very impressive, by the way. I was like,
if it was a bad level, you'd look later to find it online, and it just wasn't there anymore. She was like, get this off my system.
Yes, exactly. This is offensive. I'm going to delete this level. Yeah. So there's a lot of categories, and you can search. Yeah, so there's a big old search bar down there, which you can just tap on that, and you can type anything you want in there. So Perry, Talk Nintendo, a bunch of numbers. You can put anything you want in there, and it could be an ID. Yeah. Like if you know your number for your level is 281, well, great. Search for that. Boom, it'll pop it up. There you go. If you know there's 4 search tags for every level, it can be anything you want. So if Talk Nintendo, you want to have your listeners 2 levels, great.
And that's what it is.
Yeah, you can put in whatever unique. What would be a unique thing you'd do for your show? Do you think to put a tag?
Well, I've been tagging all my levels. Talk Nintendo, that's one of them, and then one of them.
You could even just do TNP,
podcast.
Right? Or
I think I did that for the first one.
Right, because it's Talk Nintendo Podcast is the official name, right?
Yes. And then so I do that as 2 separate ones, like Talk Nintendo and then podcast. And then Perry, and then I think NWR, I think.
Okay. So NWR, of course, you guys are with those guys as well. So anyway, a nice simple kind of tag, and then the nice thing is you search for that, and it'll bring up all the levels that have that unique tag. So the more unique, the better, because then you can look at just your friends or just your community's levels.
It just makes sense.
It really does. It's such a simple thing.
It's simple to use and easy to use, and like you said, it's just
very powerful. Very
something
powerful.
You look at and you can just completely understand without needing, crazy explanations.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's just there's even an ID number. Like you don't even need to do that, but you could just give a number, and then it's right there.
You could just sort of like, hey, my level is this number. Can you look it up and get it? Yeah, sure. Or you have 4 search tags, or you have the author's name, or whatever. You can search anything you want.
But why? Yeah. And it's like, why wouldn't it be like that?
Yeah, it's just, and that's kind of why we wanted to be more scrappy and a little bit more like, well, what would normal people do with a normal game that isn't a Nintendo game? Because I think Nintendo, their games are amazing and I love them, but they're very restrictive a lot of times, especially online. I don't know why. I know things are different in Japan. I don't know what the deal is, but we're like, we don't want that experience. We want to try and make it more open. There's a few things we wanted to do that we honestly couldn't do because of Nintendo's guidelines. But whatever. It is what it is. It's their platform. It's their rules. That's fine. And we overcome them, and no big deal. But so I think the online community is pretty powerful. It's very flexible. And I'm uploading levels as official 2E levels. There's also an official 2E favorite list, which right now only has 1 level, and it happens to be Perry's. That's just really, honestly, it honestly is a coincidence actually that we're actually chatting about it right now, that you happen to be the one. But that's a fact. And I'll be adding to that as time goes by. Honestly, I could add most of your levels honestly to that, but I think that would be a little obnoxious. But so
don't worry, guys, you probably won't find one of mine on there.
I was just gonna say, you might as well just change it to Perry's.
Really, I might as well. Just Perry's levels. There we go.
Well, Perry, just brand some under my name, and maybe we can get a couple extras in there.
Right. Now the nice thing is, it's our server. So all of that stuff is actually running on our server. We actually have to ping Nintendo server, so Nintendo has the ability to shut the game down if something crazy happens. And that's totally understandable and it's totally fair. I get it. That's cool. But the nice thing is we have the flexibility to change those categories if we want to. Like at one point we were thinking, hey, let's have a category super challenge levels, like crazy hard levels. And we might do that someday. But I was like, you know what? We can save that for later. We don't need... There will be balls hard levels up there anyway, so we don't need a category for it right now. But the nice thing is we can change
let's
those.
talk the future.
All right. Oh, segue. Look out. Nicely done.
Boom.
Yeah, I mean, we should. Like, what's the future of Chicken Wiggle? I mean, I know for a fact that there are millions of people asking you, when and is this coming to Switch?
For sure. That is probably the question I have been asked the most when it more
It's a legitimate question.
It is. No, it is.
Because I'm sitting here going, Oh my goodness, this would work. You know, you got games coming out.
Got the touch
It'd
screen.
be amazing. I got my beautiful Switch.
Yeah.
You know,
It would be nice. And there's really no. The only reason we wouldn't is obviously more of a boring financial logistical reason. There's no obstacle other than that that we wouldn't do it. It would work perfectly on the Switch. The only the 3DS is actually the perfect platform for it, and it was designed for the 3DS, and that was a beautiful thing to design a game for a specific platform. Most games aren't done that way.
Yeah.
And it's really a beautiful thing to be able to do that. We've done that a number of times now, and it's great. So the 3DS is actually the perfect platform for it, and the reason for that is you have the touchscreen and you have the non-touchscreen. The Switch only has one screen, and it is a touch. Or it's not a touch. Obviously, if you put the Switch in the dock, you can't touch it anymore. So suddenly the touch screen has gone away. So now suddenly making levels is not so cool. So that would be the only caveat, is that if we did it, undocked would be the level making mode, and then you would play it either undocked or docked. But we wouldn't have it where you can make levels and it's docked, because it will just feel crap.
Yeah,
you'd be using the circle pad to move stuff around. It'd be like, God no, that would feel so bad. So we wouldn't want to do that. But that's the only downside is it's not quite a perfect one-to-one. Like 3DS literally is perfect for it, which is a beautiful thing. But anyway, that wouldn't stop us though if we were to do it, because I think it would still work great. No, it's more like how well does it do? You know, does it do well on the 3DS? Does it make money? Obviously we have MUDs in the pipe for Switch. We have Treasure-Nauts, we're working on as well. So we have things we're working on. We hope that they'll make money. We hope Chicken Mobile makes money. Like for example, Zeo Drifter did really well. I'm very proud of the game, and I'm proud of Super Challenge. Super Challenge didn't do very well, but Zeo Drifter did really well, and I'm like, oh wow, okay.
I don't get that. I just don't get why Super Challenge didn't do.
I think it was so hard, and it wasn't called MUDs 2.
Yeah, maybe it was intimidating.
Two big reasons. It's like it's balls hard, which most people are like, well, the first one was hard enough, and it was like Super Challenge. What's that? Is that like a mission disc? I don't understand what that means. Anyway, so whatever. But
that's a darn shame.
Because I'm really proud of Super Challenge. It's such a refinement of the MUDs game, but it is crazy hard.
Oh yeah,
the mutant MUDs,
the bosses. It's crazy hard. But here's the thing: is like we were talking about before. It's good hard where
it's fair. I think
even an awful video game player like me can beat the game and love it and push forward and and it counts your deaths and laughs at you.
Yes, exactly. But Switch anyway is something we could possibly do. It's really dependent on how it does on 3DS.
Right, and you're talking about 3DS, and you're talking about how you can change the categories, and I'm playing through this game going, oh my goodness, the DLC, the concept of DLC for this game could be unbelievable.
Oh yeah.
When you put in the MUDs DLC and boom, that's it. Then the Zeo Drifter,
right.
And then when Treasure-Nauts hits and you do that, oh my goodness.
Yeah, no, it's definitely,
it's just so obvious.
And something, and actually this is one of the seeds of inspiration for doing Chicken Wiggle. Actually comes from a program that I used when I was a kid called Shoot 'em Up Construction Kit, which was on it's on a lot of different platforms, but I mainly used it on the Commodore Amiga, and it was a game maker. You could draw your own sprites. It was really crap though. You couldn't make good games, but it was awesome at the time. But you could make shoot 'em ups basically, and you could draw your own sprites. You could set the scroll speed and do all kinds of stuff. It was great. I loved it, and I've always loved that, and I've always loved the idea of that. And obviously, Chicken Wiggle was somewhat, from that enjoyment that I had with using something like that. But a big and I don't know if we'd ever do this, and it'd be so hard to do, but I'd love to do it. But my ultimate is to actually make a 2D platform game maker, where you could make your own 2D platform game. That would be my ultimate, and really Chicken Wiggle is kind of like a
stepping
facet.
stone?
Is a facet of that. Yeah, stepping stone of that. It's one element of that. So it could be a step in that direction. It'd be such a massive project to create it, because the way I'd want to do it is to allow you to make what you want to make. You know, whether you want to make Mutant Mods, whether you want to make Mario, whether you want to make Sonic, whether you want to make Spelunky, Treasure What's, whatever. It's up to you. You can make them all. It would be ridiculous. You know, because for me, I'd want the player to be able to go, okay, well, how big is the player? How fast do they move? Can they jump? Okay, well, what button makes them jump? How high do they jump? You know, all of that. Just the whole shebang, you know, but all in a beautiful interface, just like Chicken Wiggle. Super simple, fun Nintendo-style interface, but you can do the whole freaking game. That would be my ultimate.
Yeah,
that would be the future. That would be the future IP, but I don't know if we'll ever get there. But anyway, so I wanted to mention that because that's the ultimate goal. But I don't know if that would ever happen. Well, but anyway, this is a step in that direction.
Better not be fooling me.
No, it's it's been a dream of mine since I was a kid, because that's what I got to experience, but in a really kind of crappy way. But to make an ultimate version of that would be, oh my gosh.
Yeah,
I feel like the last time I talked to you, you didn't have you don't have any experience with WarioWare DIY.
Not really. I played it a little bit, but not much. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just crazy to me because that's just like the most amazing. Like do whatever you want, like do literally whatever you want kind of games. Creators, and it's amazing and so intuitive and stuff. So it just reminds me of that. But anyway,
but no, the DLC ideas are really cool. That would be really neat. I mean, there's definitely a potential for it, and
you get the glasses.
I mean, you're already sort of doing DLC, free DLC, if you're pumping out more levels, you know.
As far as levels, as far as content, for sure. I mean, and that was always part of the plan. I didn't want to spend 10 million years making 100 levels or whatever. I was like, you know what, why would I do that? I'm just going to make a good, healthy amount of levels, and then I'll continue making levels and upload them. That's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, and then let everyone
else make them as well.
God darn it.
Yeah. But yeah, no, DLC would be fun for it, and you know, as far as themes and all kinds of new ingredients, but so we'll have to see.
You get the hat from Treasure Knots and the glasses and the helmet.
It'd be fun.
This is a funny thing. I forget. I just want to tell you this. I was playing, and you know the rocket. The
jetpack.
The double jump. Jetpack.
Yeah.
There you go. I put that on, and my wife goes, "Hey, that looks like Drew Carey."
Drew Carey. It's so random. What? That's amazing. I guess
I was like, that does
the
look
bottle
like
cap glasses. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you call it? That is funny. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Drew Carey. But, cameo, that's right. Unofficial cameo, Drew Carey.
I remember.
I guess to sort of bring us to an end here, since we are going crazy long, just a little bit more on the future of what Atui's going to be working on. I know we touched on Mutant Muds and Treasure Knots, but is Mutant Muds for Switch? Is that something we can expect? Within this year? Sooner or later, or?
Yeah, what's the plan here?
Yeah, that's the plan. Yeah, I mean, and it's and the only thing that's been announced as far as that project is that that it does have Mutant Muds Deluxe in it. Yes.
Would you think?
Okay, so it is deluxe.
Yeah, I was gonna say, think about maybe doing like the ultimate Mutant Muds, like Ultimate Edition with Super Challenge and Deluxe, kind of bundled together.
That'd be cool, wouldn't it? That'd be cool. That'd be cool.
It sure
would.
Be
really cool. Yeah.
And limited run games, physical.
Oh wow.
Oh, I'd buy 10 of those.
That'd be pretty cool too.
Oh, man.
So there's definitely some. I mean, we've shown Muds running on the Switch, which it does, and it runs great. It's fun because when you play level 1, there's that little sign, the little bird sitting on, and on the 3DS it has the A button. And obviously, I have to update that for Sony releases and all the different releases because they all have different buttons. Mm-hmm. So it's just really neat, to make the Switch version of that, which is the typical, the standard kind of 4 circles, but it's the bottom one you have to press kind of icon.
Love it.
That the Switch is embracing, which I love. So I got to do that, and that's actually in the photo that I released. It has that little sign in there. So it was neat. It's really neat. Like, oh sweet, bring this to Switch. So anyway, so what's been announced is that we've shown Muds running on the Switch, and it does run on it, and it's really nice. We will have. There are some surprises that haven't been announced yet. With that game.
What better time than now?
But as far as time, the plan is to release it this year. So that game, the Touchwood, the plan is to have it released before the end of this year. So we're doing everything we can to do that. So it's running great. It's been nice to move it over to that. It feels good. you know. So
yeah, I was gonna say playing that thing handheld is gonna be amazing.
Oh, I bet
it looks really tight.
That big screen. I mean, I have it on my iPad, you know.
Right, and
it's beautiful.
Yeah,
right?
it's very similar to that, but actually with decent buttons, basically. Yeah.
Well, but and that's the thing is that I don't know how it's done, but you can play Mutant Mudds on the iPad.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
We wouldn't have released it.
Like,
I mean, that was our acid test, you know, because I was like, "Hey, can we put Mudds on the iPhone?" And Matthew's like, "Yeah, I don't think so, dude." And I'm like, "Well, trust me, I think we can make the controls not shit." And he's like, "I don't think so, dude." And I'm like, "Well, let's give it a shot. If they're terrible, we won't do it. But if they're okay, they're bearable. If you can beat the game, basically." Let's go. So and I had a theory because I've been researching and looking at all the different games and seeing what they've been doing, and some of them are doing good ideas, some of them are doing terrible ideas, and I think it was pretty clear what needed to be done. So I'm like, well, I have an idea of what we can do. Let's just do it. And I was like, yeah, it works. It's fine. It's not the same as holding a 3DS for sure, but it's playable. Right. I mean, the key is you don't want the player to look down at what their fingers are doing. That's the key. You don't want to look to see what your thumbs are doing. You need to try as hard as possible to avoid that. So the player just moving their thumbs, not even thinking about it, and that's the goal. And I think we've pulled that off pretty well. I think with Mudds on the iPhone and iPad, because you can slide your thumb around to move it. You can tap it. There's only 2 buttons. So anyway, I know you can even position them wherever you want and change the transparency.
Yeah, that was really cool. Yeah. Which I used it.
Especially on the iPad, because that we kind of designed it for the iPhone, but obviously there's the iPad too. So they are very different on how you hold them. So you kind of have to move them for the iPad, but. Anyway,
well,
yes.
and it just has to do with the way the game controls. I just feel like we were talking before, it's not slippery. It's like exact physics.
It's a perfect game for that.
Exactly where you're going. Yeah. You know exactly how big the hover is. So it's not.
You've got the ultimate control. Yeah. So it's easy to translate.
It's relatively slow paced, so it works. Yeah, it works well for the virtual controls. But yes, on the Switch, it really looks really, really nice. We'll have more news on what other features we're doing with that soon.
I can't wait.
And then Treasurnauts will be after that, and that is I'm really excited about that. That's coming along really good. I mean, Mudds is done, so I'm not really working on that. I did the sign, but whatever. There's nothing to do there.
Look, with Treasurnauts, can you explain what kind of game that is?
Yeah, and I was thinking about this the other day. Like, what is an easy way to describe Treasurnauts?
The elevator pitch.
It's almost like Super Mario World meets Indiana Jones 2-player co-op.
Where do I sign?
Yeah.
Sounds good
which
to
is
me.
mixing it's mixing 3 things that I love. Super Mario World, wow, what a great game. Indiana Jones. I mean, Raiders of the Lost Ark is my favorite movie of all time. Indiana Jones, House of Ford's amazing. And then 2-player co-op without griefing, specifically, because that's annoying. New Super Mario Brothers, looking at you, is just fun to play with a friend or a family member side by side on the couch. Again, where you're not pissing each other off, is just great. So so that's the simple explanation. Super Mario World meets Indiana Jones 2-player co-op. You don't have to play 2-player co-op. You can play single player, of course, and that's fine. But 2-player is definitely an element that we're focusing on to make sure it's good. So that'd be the easiest way to explain it.
It makes a little sense on the Switch.
Well, right? I know it's perfect, and we started this on the 3DS before the Switch even existed. So.
Would there be a possibility of online play with that, or are you going to?
No, definitely not.
Okay.
No, definitely only local player. I'm definitely not doing online.
All right, Perry. I guess you're gonna have to fly to New York.
Well, and you can play. You can play.
Flying here.
And you can play single player. I mean, it's not reliant on 2-player. It's a different way of experiencing it.
I love it because those games that are meant for the 2-player, they usually are very memorable experiences. One of my favorite things is with Kirby's Epic Yarn with my wife was very similar. I feel like what you're saying, in the sense of you could totally play that single player, but it worked so well in 2-player as well. So that's fun.
And I'm making sure that you can play the game as a single player experience, but actually the nice thing is you can get to places and do different things as a two-player co-op that you couldn't do in a single player. Not that it messes up the single player, but it makes this two-player unique.
More rewarding.
You're like, oh. So, for example, like, I can, you know, like there's a double jump power-up in the game. Now, if you don't have that, but you are playing two people, I can jump on your head, you can jump, I can get to the ledge that otherwise I'd have to use the double jump to get up to. So I can circumvent a double jump just by working together. And now you can walk to me. So now we're both up there. Sweet, awesome. Don't need the double jump power up. Very nice. So it's interesting. Teamwork. So you can kind of sequence break the game, but it's designed that you can do this. But when the player discovers this for themselves, they'll feel like geniuses and like, we're breaking the game. This is awesome. But there's a specific path through the game that you can just obliterate the game. It's super shortcut central. If two of you are playing and you know what you're doing, you can obliterate the game. You can get through it in no time. There's a specific path throughout the whole game. You can even completely... There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like islands in the game. You can completely miss an entire island if you know what you're doing with two people, and just go right to the end of the game and then beat it. So and that's being designed that way because like, that's a
Mario
unique experience. Right.
Yeah, there you go.
So anyway, so that's something you can only experience with two player, which is super fun, but it doesn't detract from the single player. So it's I'm really excited. It's gonna be really fun.
I was gonna say that how you're explaining with two players, it's like Yoshi's Woolly World. When you're playing with two players, you can always use one of the players as a ball to throw. As
extra, to get to those
it's
unreached.
Kind of that same feeling. It's
you
like
can use each other, and the fun thing is, cool. And there's also kind of a mode for when, like, let's say there's a parent and a young kid playing together, and the young maybe it's the parent who's not good, maybe it's the kid. I was actually going to say it's the kid, but a lot of times it's the other way around. But one of them is not very good at playing the game, but the other one's really good. Chances are the parent's the one that's not very good.
Right.
And the nice thing is there's kind of a specific mode for like when you die in the level, you kind of come back immediately as a ghost, and now you can just run around the level. You can kill enemies. I don't think you can collect stuff. We haven't quite fully defined what the exact role is there, but basically the second player can just run around. They can't grief the other player, but they can kind of assist the player and just run around and just be goofy and just feel like they're still interacting, but without any kind of danger. So that's awesome. That's fun, but also going to actually allow that, and you run around as a ghost. We're actually going to allow that as a character you can select from the beginning. So if you know from the beginning, I suck, I'm just going to be there having fun. Great, just select the ghost character and then have at it. Just run around and be crazy and have fun. And the other player can, and in your split screen, so you both have your own screen, so you can both go off and do your own thing.
Oh, that's really cool.
But you can communicate.
Oh, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah, so you can, but you're sitting next to each other, so you can communicate. So let's say, Perry, you run off to the top right of the map, and you discover 2 pressure pads on the ground, and like a secret wall that you can't do anything about. And Casey's on the other side of the map. And you're like, dude, you need to come over to me so you can stand on this other pressure plate. So Casey, I think Perry will have to press a button to invite, to do your little kind of walkie-talkie, and then Casey can then walk to Perry, and you both can then stand on the pad, boom, sink it down, open up the secret thing, and then go off to the 2-player secret area. So it's wow. So there's a lot of fun stuff.
Can't wait.
Anyway, so there you go. Treasure Knots, it's gonna be great. It's a
sounds
completely
rad.
different experience than any other game that we've done, and that's what we were talking about earlier. Like the 2D platform game genre is just a blank canvas. You can do anything in there, and it's fun that we do. In Muds we've got Zero Drift, or even Super Challenge is a different experience I think than Muds. We've got Chicken Wiggle now. Treasure Knots, probably another one in there that I'm even forgetting about, and they're all different. They're all 2D platform games, but they're all completely different experiences, which is so much fun.
Yes,
that's amazing.
Thank you for making them.
Yeah,
seriously.
It's a joy. It's
and everyone should totally check out Chicken Wiggle. The game is super fun. Like I said, it gives you, if you're into creating levels, it has a great skill set for you to get in there and do that. And if you'd rather just play the levels, what are there? There's 8 worlds with 6 levels each, right? 48 levels?
Yeah, there's 48 levels that come with the game. I've already uploaded a bunch of levels. Other people have as well. Even just the press, even without the public being out there. So there's a wealth of levels up there, and they're good, man. I mean,
they
there's a lot
yes.
of really good levels up there. Really,
I haven't even run into a stinker really. I've had fun with all of them.
Don't worry,
it's amazing.
I'll upload mine eventually.
Yeah, I'll wait for Casey to upload his.
Right, nice. There are some really good levels up there, and the nice thing is when you're online, you can, you're scrolling through the levels, you get like a little screenshot, you can kind of get a glimpse of what it is, and obviously there's a line of text that the creator could have added to help explain what the level's about or whatever, and you can see the gameplay rules to see the style of gameplay that's in there. And the nice thing is you can, at that moment, can just play it online, and just check it out there and then.
Yeah, that's what I always do usually.
And then if you like it, then you can click the download button and actually then save it onto your 3DS, so you can play it later if you want to offline. So it's pretty flexible. I think most people will probably just browse and play. I mean, and if they find one they really love, they can download it. And after you've beaten the level, you can then heart it. You can like it. So then that's the criteria for what makes levels popular, is how many hearts they have. The one with the most hearts will be number one, and so on. So super fun.
Very cool, very cool. Well, we really, really appreciate you coming on for this super long, jam-packed episode. Which
thanks for having me. I appreciate it. It has been a long one, but it's been fun.
Officially the longest.
Yeah.
It's been fun. Hopefully people enjoy it. We've had a good chat about games at the very least. We've enjoyed it at least, even if no one else has.
I think we've talked about 400 different games.
Yeah.
Seriously.
That's good.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. Again, everyone, check out Chicken Wiggle, coming out on the 17th. If you're listening to this, it is already out, so make sure to check it out.
And it's coming out in North America, Europe, Australia, New Zealand, all at the same time, same day. It's $14.99 in dollars in the US, for €14.99 in Europe. I think it's like $13.49 in pounds, and like $20 in Canadian. And who knows what in the other places, but yeah, it's all just relatively, normal, I think, from what everyone else is doing. But it's $14.99 is the base price in the US and in Euro.
Awesome.
Beautiful. And Jools, where can they find you on Twitter?
It is Jools Watsham, so JoolsWatsham. Yeah, and then I have the link to a TUI from there, atooi.com. That's mainly where I'm hanging out, and I have a YouTube and stuff, so that's all linked, I think, from somewhere. But I mean, YouTube's the same name. I always just use my name. It's just because no one else has it, so it's just easy, even though it's hard to spell.
There you go.
Oxymoron there, I guess. Yep.
As always, you can find the show on Twitter at Talk Nintendo Pod. That's Talk Nintendo POD. And I don't care about our personal Twitters. I just want everyone to go check out Chicken Wiggle and check out Jools. He's a great video game developer.
Thanks, guys. It's been fun.
Thanks again, Jools, and we will see you next week.
Giddy up.
60% chance.
El Menage.
Well, that's why you should have imported the Circle Pad Pro like a real man.
Butt stompers.
I've heard about that burst out system.
The wound is still open.
He was their butler.
I was the whipping boy.
Stan is losing control.
I'm a fan of killing everything,